in, ladies and gentlemen, to NBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. What's up? You really like that?
Let's shut up and grind some tape.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome into the Film Guy Network on a beautiful, and I mean beautiful, Monday evening. Hey, took 6 days off, okay, from Tuesday of last week until today. Have not done nothing on a microphone, and boy, was I itching. I was itching to get it. So I'm glad to be back with you guys tonight, and I got a great one for you. The Bloods and the Crips getting together must mean absolute hell is on the horizon. Okay, that's what I got to thinking about today. Well, not really today. It was this weekend when I didn't have an opportunity to express my thoughts and opinions on these things. But that was my first thought process when I saw, oh, you tell me the Big Ten and the SEC are about to come together? Like, these two aren't mortal enemies like the Bloods and the Crips may be, but they are mortal competitors. These two go at it. It's like 1A and 1B, all right? These are the two premier faces of college football, and now all of a sudden these quote-unquote mortal competitors are coming together. And if they are coming together, damn, Brooksy, things must be bad, right? Things must be absolutely horrendous if these two pinnacles of the sport and monsters in their respective sports are now coming together to just go out here and save college football. So this must have been some type of response from this NCAA just shitstorm that they got going on with Tennessee, right? I saw a lot of jumping to conclusions on that front that, hey man, last straw. NCAA done did it. Now the Big Ten and the SEC got a band together and stopped the big bad NCAA. Well, that wasn't really the case, especially if you took 5 seconds to read any type of press releases from any of this stuff. In fact, they're kind of mutually invested in the NCAA. We're going to talk about that here in a second. But there has been, or this rather has been in the works for a while, because if you know anything about the Big Ten and the SEC, they did not just by happenstance become the biggest things in college athletics. No, this is very sought after and gone through or created by really, really strong leaderships. All right. Guys like Greg Petiti and guys like our guy Greg Sankey. I think it's something else Petiti. But nonetheless, my man up there in the Big Ten, and before him, they had strong leadership, and now Greg Sankey at the SEC. So what does it mean? What is it? What is this coalition? Well, let's read, because again, a lot of people didn't do the reading. They just said, ooh, Big Ten, SEC together. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. All right, let's explain what it means. Quote, the Big Ten and the SEC have substantial investment in the NCAA, and there is no question that the voices of our two conferences are integral to governance and other reform efforts, Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petiti said. Quote, we recognize the similarity in our circumstances as well as the urgency to address the common challenges they face. Among those challenges, the league cited in the formation of their partnerships are, quote, recent court decisions, pending litigation, a patchwork of state laws, and a complex governance of proposals. It's a lot of word salad right there. Basically means, hey, a lot of shit going on right now in the world of college football regarding how the NCAA is going to intervene with some of these massive issues like we have in front of us, like these litigations that are pending with regards to recent court cases, like the patchwork of state laws regarding NIL, all of this complete lack of governance or this, institutionalized governance across the sport of college football, like we all covet and want. Quote, there are similar cultural and social impacts on our student athletes and our institutions and our communities because of the new collegiate landscapes environments. This is the SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey talking here. Quote, we do not have predetermined answers to the myriad of questions facing us. We do not expect to agree on everything, but enhancing interaction between our conferences will help focus efforts on common sense. What does that mean? Well, it means, okay, that the SEC and the Big Ten, as they said, are substantially invested in the NCAA, but there's a lot of impending changes that need to happen. And the world needs to know that the Big Ten and the SEC are not only on the forefront of these changes and are leading the causes for these changes, but they're at least going to act like they're friends, okay? They're going to tie those bandanas together and they're going to hold them up in the sky and they're going to say, whoo, hey, we are on the forefront of college football. We're going to make all of these changes, and we are going to do so, even though we might have a myriad of different thoughts and opinions, and we may not always agree. But we're going to go about this together because, hey, we know we're the SEC in the Big Ten. If we don't go, the whole thing don't go. All right, so that's what that was all about. Again, the important thing was the substantial investment in the NCAA. You see, this is a football problem. Everybody wants to separate football from this because football makes so much money. But the Big Ten and the SEC, though they are dominant in football, though they're the faces of football, okay, they're not football leagues. They're not football conferences. They're conferences that have a bunch of different student athletes, right? They have 7 different men's teams in NCAA, in Division I, right? In the Big Ten and the SEC. They also have 7 individual male sports, right? The tennises, the swimmings, the wrestlings, okay? The horseback riding, all the different sports that the NCAA is involved in just on the men's side, let alone the women's, right? There's 10 women's teams that the NCAA regulates and governs, right? There are 7 individual more sports on the women's side of things, right? All the Olympic sports that need to be handled by the NCAA. The Big Ten and the SEC, despite what you might have been told elsewhere, they need the NCAA. They need the NCAA to govern all these other things that you don't care about, all right, that actually provide some type of collegiate colonialism and regionalism to the university, right? I would argue that women's sports are pretty important. Okay, the NCAA would as well, as do these member schools. Okay, so you don't need to get that separated from the fact that, hey, NCAA, big bad boogeyman, get out of football. We can agree with that. But the NCAA also serves a large purpose around all of these conferences. And again, that's why they led their statement in this announcement of a quote unquote thoughtful merger between the SEC and the Big Ten. They preceded the statement with, hey, we got a substantial amount of investment in the NCAA. That was important to note, right? Because again, these aren't just football leagues. However, football definitely needs to get out of here from the NCAA because clearly the way the NCAA goes about with everything with their antitrust laws and their inability to actually treat employees like employees, whereas now we find out every time they get drug into court, they lose because, well, it's kind of illegal, right? They're the only organization and only, sector or only type of product in this world that doesn't have salaried employees. All right, all these athletes are just that. They're student athletes. It's the only thing in this country that is like that. All right, in fact, every time they get brought into the court's like, bro, you're going to lose. You're going to lose all these antitrust lawsuits because you don't have any foothold to stand on, right? That is the NCAA. All right, that's why they can't go out with all these, hey, maybe we should pay for play. Well, we can't get into pay for play because that kind of eliminates the need for us, okay, because we can't do the pay for play across all of them because of that whole thing called Title IX. And the whole NCAA and pay for play is just big jumbled mess, right? We all know this. Oh, and by the way, we all know football needs to separate from the rest of the NCAA. The NCAA knows this. I told y'all back in December that the NCAA had proposed, Charlie Baker had proposed this $6 million Super League where they were just going to, hey, all you teams that can afford to play like big boys, let's just set aside $6 million a year and we'll just put y'all in this secondary category of, real big time football, real income and money sport. And we'll just make basically people buy in and that'll be your baseline salary. And nobody really read it because nobody gives a shit about the NCAA. Everybody just wants to crap on them. But despite the fact, Charlie's trying. Charlie understands. The NCAA understands. They are an outdated model. They were not created to govern a sport that creates billions in dollars of revenue. It's not what it was originally intended for. They know that. We know that. So that's where we're at right now. We're at a point where the Big Ten and the SEC, if they want to do anything with regards to correcting any of these issues that we're going to talk about tonight, well, they kind of have to go about it when creating their own league. And it's a good thing that they're as big as they are and as they're financially as successful as they are, because if they want to make any type of changes, right? If they want to put any type of, let's limit transfers. Let's put an actual salary amount on these players. Well, if they want to do any of that, they have to do outside the antitrust lawsuits of the NCAA. So we're going to talk about all of that. We're going to try to make some of that make sense for you guys tonight. But bottom line, college football right now, not the NCAA, not all of its structures, but college football right now has become way too big for its governing body. And this isn't new. This has been, probably been around and probably been an issue since probably about 2019 when we were all suddenly, hey, we gonna start paying these players and y'all gonna have to deal with that shit. And then as soon as that happened, it was like, whoo, everything unraveled really, really quickly too. So I think it would be a good idea to kind of talk through those things tonight. Welcome in. Okay, we're gonna try to fix college football. I don't think there's that much wrong with it. That's a lot. There's a lot wrong with it, but it's one of these things, man. It's really, really a complicated answer. And if it were just, hey, make a super league, we might be doing that anyways, but nonetheless, we're going to try to walk through these things. Missouri's out here making massive plays on the name, image, and likeness standpoint and the donation pool standpoint. We're going to talk about women's sports here tonight, which will be kind of cool. So shouts out to the women. We're going to talk about the top 5 things about the offseason tonight as well. And there are some recruiting things still going around, right? Terry Bussey, a 5-star athlete out of the state of Texas, still set to make his final decision, okay, early, our traditional national signing day, believe it or not, right around the corner. So can't believe that is coming up on us really, really quickly, with really only about one name left out there to be talking about. But before we get into that, I want to ask you to make sure you hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, and rate and reviewing. And I also want to take a quick second to give our friends over at Prize Picks a quick shout. Look, however, wherever you do your daily, get down, all right? However you enjoy doing it. I like doing mine over on Prize Picks. PrizePicks.com. Use promo code Brooks, okay? Get in there and get you some fun little parlays. Get you some fun little overs, some unders, some all that good stuff, and you'll get a 100% deposit match today using promo code Brooks. You run over there, you type in Brooks under the promo code, you'll get a 100% deposit match up to and including $100. That's a free hundo sitting in your account over on Prize Picks today if you just use promo code Brooks. Welcome in. We got a great one for you. And look, I think everyone does this, right? Everyone gets on here and they gallivant and they stress about the major problems that are going on with college football. I had a discussion with a friend of mine today that was like, ooh, don't really like the future, don't really like what's going on. And I just was like, why? What's going on? What are the issues? Because ironically enough, we're going to talk about these things tonight. And there are a litany of different issues that people bring up to us, right? They bring up the calendar. College football calendar's an issue. Recruiting's a problem because of it, right? College football coaches, we're going to lose a lot of good ones because they're just working too much. Oh, and by the way, NIL, we got to figure something out about that. That's a little crazy. Oh, all this transfer portal stuff too, that's a little bit nuts. How are we going to get some type of control on all of this? And oh, by the way, I'm a college football fan, and every time I turn around, my administration building's calling me for more money because I got to buy a new recruit. And what is this? Why are we doing this? What are all these problems? So let's start addressing them, right? I think the biggest problem that a lot of people, particularly the seasoned guys that we just got through, which is the portal season window, right? That window from December to January 15th, everybody's up in their arms about one word, the calendar, the college football calendar. Oh, college football calendar's got to be fixed. These poor coaches. All right. Oh, and by the way, the college football calendar is really the reason why all these kids are opting out of these bowl games, because they really got to get set up for their next school. And why can't we fix the college football calendar? It seems easy. Well, there's a lot of different reasons, right? The solution would be, in my opinion, start the season earlier, right? Because we have these transfer portal windows impacting, and National Signing Day, right? National Signing Day and the transfer portal open up, boom, right in early December. And then we got bowl games all the way and college football playoff games all the way until mid to late January now. And y'all are out here doing all of free agency right before we actually determine the winner. That's kind of back-asswards. Well, let's do it a different way. Let's move the season up before the window, because here's the deal. The window can't change. You know why the window can't change? Well, because college football's calendar is directly tied to the academic calendar. The academic calendar allows for transfers or for a change in school in between the fall semester and the spring semester. I know, absolutely crazy that college football is tied to the college academic calendar. Well, if you don't separate the two, then you got to move one or the other, and you're not moving the academic calendar, right? So we got to move the season. And if we move the season, maybe we can alleviate that problem. Or maybe you just create a super league and screw academics anyways, and just separate academia from college football entirely. Ooh, that's a whole big mess right there. What are we going to do about scholarships? Do kids have to go to classes? Are they actually getting a degree? Is now this just professional sports? Wow. We just pulled one little string and the whole thing came unraveled, right? So now you see why the calendar is really, really tough. The calendar's stuck where it's at because it's stuck where it's at. We're not moving finals. We're not moving the academic calendar for college football. But we could maybe try to alleviate some issues by solving a lot of these unanswerable questions prior to that window even opening, right? Let's answer what the finality of the season looks like before we open up free agency. That just sounds like a good idea, but I don't know if it's ever going to happen because, well, we can't play games in August because we're not in school in August because, again, that whole idea that college football is tied to college athletics or academics. Again, the calendar ain't moving. So we can sit here and complain all we want about the calendar. The only idea that I really have about the calendar is that you just need to make one portal window instead of two, which means kids are, they're going to have to sit all the way through the fall and they're going to have to sit all the way through the spring at their current school. And then in May, they can go somewhere else. But Brooks, how am I supposed to win a job from May until August? I don't know. That sucks. That's unfortunate, which is the whole reason why the window's in December, right? So they can go and play spring ball at their new school, and then by the fall comes in, they're nice and settled in, and they can win a job. Well, we're probably going to have to sacrifice somewhere. We're going to have to sacrifice somewhere if we're going to fix the calendar. So the calendar, big issue. What else is a big issue? We just told you, calendar probably not going to get fixed. Well, the next thing I hear about all the time, Brooksy, is college football coaches telling me that tampering is rampant. Right? We hear about this one all the time, right, boys?
Oh, yeah.
I can't do no coaching. I can't do no coaching because I'm recruiting all the damn year and I'm recruiting my own roster because my roster is constantly getting poached, right? I got coaches left and right trying to call my players and steal them off my rosters with a little bit of NIL money, which ties it all together, right? We got tampering being a problem because the portal and NIL exist. So that's the next one. Let's start talking about this, right? How do we stop the tampering? Well, I'm going to be honest with you. Cheating, probably not going to be able to run that one down, right? Tampering, probably not going to be able to run that one down. You're going to have to do all of the unspoken rules of, hey, we don't pimp home runs around here and we don't call, kids in the middle of August about coming to potentially transfer to your place in December. Can we just all agree upon that? If we can't, well, then we can't. But let's assume we can't. How are we going to fix it? I know this is all over the place. If we can't, how are we going to fix it? Well, we got to put some type of hampering and some type of logistical, hey, let's put some confinements on this NIL stuff. Let's put some confinements on this one-time transfer stuff, this transfer portal stuff. I mean, we're very, very close, ladies and gentlemen, because of how much of a losing case the NCAA has in courts. That for one-time transfers don't exist anymore, by the way, guys. You're going to be able to play your fall, your freshman year at one school, and then your spring at another, and then a fall. And goddamn, you can play for 9 schools. It don't really matter. You can just keep transferring around, getting a new bag wherever you want, all right, and just playing at your new school every 6 months if you really want to. Because, again, the NCAA holds no foothold in court. Every time they try to say, hey, why don't we just let them get one transfer? Or why don't we let them just get 2? The courts are like, you have no right to be able to do that. That violates antitrust laws because you're not paying these people that you're actually trying to confine with confinements of an employee. These aren't employees. They're free contractors to do whatever they want. That's what the court tells them every single time. So in order to create some type of a semblance, the Big Ten and the SEC are probably going to have to go outside of the NCAA anyways. Probably going to have to create some type of new league so they can actually put some type of thresholds on these guys, which again, might be where we're headed anyways. If you want some type of legitimacy to NIL, well, you're going to have a collective bargaining agreement. If you want to have any type of legitimacy towards, well, let's put some limitations on transfers. Well, you're going to have to create a separate league where you actually deem these people employees so you can actually keep them under your wing, okay? So that's the primary problem, that if we're actually going to put restrictions on these people that aren't, employees, well, we're going to have to make them employees. How do we make them employees? We get rid of the NCAA because it's an antiquated system. I'm fine with that. I am. But that's going to come with a lot of blowback, right? It's going to come with a lot of blowback. Here's the main issue. Okay, here's the main issue, in my opinion. If we're going to solve name, image, and likeness, let's be real about what it is. Let's either separate it into one of two things. Let's make it legitimate pay for play, which is kind of what it's trying to be right now, but it's in complete uncompetitive balance because Texas is trying to do one thing with its NIL law, while California is trying to do one thing, while Georgia's doing another, while Missouri's doing another, and Florida's doing another. And oh, by the way, they all have reasons to make theirs just a little bit more lenient than the other one because, well, they're competing for talent acquisition. So why wouldn't I make my NIL code just a little bit more, floozy, if you will, towards this type of stuff? Because there's no legislation across the board. I can be competitive about my NIL law. I can write it into whatever mythical space that I want to because I'm the attorney general in my state and I love them dogs. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is how it is going about. We don't have any type of legislation. So if we're going to make it pay for play, let's just be real. Let's just set it down to a set percentage of revenue sharing, right? Well, we can't do revenue sharing without the NCAA. Well, that's fine. Just get rid of them. If we're going to do this, let's do it that way. Or let's talk about NIL the way it was originally supposed to be. I mean, shit, when I was in LA in 2020 or 2021 or whenever this, Quinn Ewers' class is the first one, we start talking to all these quarterbacks. Hey, name, image, and likeness coming right down the pike next week, Quinn. Oh, mullet man, what we going to do? And the mullet man is talking about, ooh, I want to get in with Bass Pro Shops. Ooh, I want to get in with Coke. Ooh, I want to get in with Powerade. Well, those are great. Those are awesome, marketable companies. Those are real companies. They're going to pay you to endorse their product for your name, your image, and your likeness because you are Quinn Ewers. But that wasn't what we got, boys. What we got was, hey, here's 150 G's. Come play here. And we're going to give it to you in monthly installments. Well, what do I have to do, sir? Don't worry about it. You're just playing. We're just paying you to play. That's not what we got. We didn't get any of that. Well, if we're going to actually get that, let's get that. Let's actually make name, image, and likeness what it's about. It's about marketability. All right. Bottom line, I could have summed all 23 minutes up with this right here. You ready? Here it is. Bottom line, the NCAA doesn't want revenue sharing. They can't allow it because it will blow up their spot everywhere else. If I got to give a portion of these revenues to the actual kids who are making money, I can't afford the women's soccer team to go play 60 games this year. If we do that, I can't afford to pay the women's basketball team to play 45 games this year. So they'll just probably not exist, which really sucks for those universities. And by the way, again, NCAA don't want it to happen. Neither does the Big Ten, neither does the SEC. That's why they led their statement with the fact that they're invested in this. Okay, so that's the first thing. And also, the Congress has no inclination to help the NCAA out at all. Because I really do believe that's how this could be solved. That's why they're in Washington every chance they get begging and pleading for some help. If Congress just said, all right, well, we'll help you out a little bit. We'll actually make some stipulations that might alleviate some of these problems. But again, we're back into the antitrust lawsuits. It would basically be illegal for the government to do that. We got a lot of problems, boys, and not a lot of solutions other than if football really is this big, if it's this important for revenue sharing to actually come into the sport in order for us to put some types of sanctions and put some type of control on this, then so be it. But that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a super league, which, oh, by the way, who affords this super league? Who's paying for this? We're going to put all 34. We're going to put the Big Ten and the SEC together. You think Disney's fitting that bill? Who's Apple going to pay for that? Who's paying? Who's going to buy this? I don't know, what, $15 billion contract? This is like saying all 32 teams in the NFL are up for sale, but it's one sale. You're just buying all 32 sandwich shops. How much you paying for it? I don't know. Who can afford it? Probably the Saudis. So I don't know. I don't know where we go, but I think it's so simple to come out here and go, Super League. All right, well, who's going to pay for this Super League, Bubba? And by the way, we got nowhere near discussing the fact that the 12-team playoff still gives an automatic bid to the Pac-2 and conference realignment. We did not address any of those things. There's a lot there. I don't know how well of it. You guys sat there and listened to it just like the audience did. Was that just word salad for 20 minutes, or did any of that make sense?
No, some of it made sense. But, I mean, the more you listen to it, the more you realize that if there was one solution, someone would have done it by now. The NCAA would have snapped their fingers and said, okay, tampering's not a problem anymore. We don't have a problem with players being played. NIL's not an issue. Scheduling, conference, all that stuff is not an issue. So I think that's probably why it hasn't happened yet because it's just not feasible to where there's one easy solution.
I would just say that this is obviously the biggest amount of change. I'd say all at once, the most change that the college football has had to go under all at one time.
Yeah.
But I would also say that, I mean, we've learned throughout the history of all sports, whether it's pro sports or college sports, like eventually you're going to adapt. So I would cling on to the faith that eventually you're going to get this thing figured out. What the solution is, I don't know if it's going to be the right solution. I don't know if it's going to be the best solution. I don't know if there is a right or best solution in this scenario. I don't think that there's been one proposed that everybody is fully on board with, like, yeah, let's push for that. But I think what I heard is maybe the LIV tour is going to end up being the NCAA.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, this is sometimes I hate about how polarizing some people can be. So I read an article today where they were like, hey, Big Ten, SEC, all 34 teams together, and we'll just sell it. We'll just sell it for as much money as we possibly can, and it'll be great. It'll be great for everybody else, including the Olympic sports. And I'm like, how? We just find somebody who's got, $50 billion laying around to buy up all these TV rights. And the reason the conference model worked was because each of these individual conferences went out and negotiated their own TV rights deals, which is fine. But they were under the NCAA model. Now y'all want to lump them together. I'm not smart enough to put my brain together on it. And guess what? I don't think anybody else is, or else we would be here already. We would have some of these, resolutions to these issues. I'm kind of getting labeled now like classic NCAA defender guy is the way I feel like sometimes. But dude, like Charlie Baker's proposal is not a bad idea. It's not horrible. It's the best of both worlds, because I promise you right now, if the women's softball team crumbles, all right, and general sports around your favorite program crumble, or there's a disassociation, we got to talk about this earlier. If Georgia doesn't own their own football team, what? If it's not the University of Georgia, if the football team is not directly tied to the school, then what are they? They're just another version of the Atlanta Falcons who just have the Georgia Bulldog logo on them, and they happen to play in Athens? Like,
It's minor league baseball.
Yeah.
It's basically what it is. Just you're not tied to one specific franchise at that point.
And by the way, I want to go back to this NIL stuff. We talked about how name, image, and likeness and pay for play. It is pay for play right now. These boosters are being asked to fund these salaries for these players. That, to me, is blasphemous. The fact that Johnny Walker, the UGA alum, that worked hard for his money, been given, X amount of dollars every single year back to his alma mater to put some new pissers in the new stadium, is now getting called and saying, hey, Johnny, I need 3X. I need 3 times as much money, because whether or not we can afford the next corner's on your head. What? Y'all are making how much money? Y'all are making how much money? But because this antiquated system doesn't allow you to actually pay the players the money that we're making off of playing football, I got to pay the bill? That's nuts. We got to get rid of that. We definitely got to get rid of that. Unless you're one of these super rich boosters that's just like, yeah, Spire Sports, let's spend hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, unless some anonymous booster wants to give you $62 million.
Nuts. So yeah, I mean, I don't want college football to become, like the chat's talking about, another version of spring football leagues. That's what it feels like. That's how we're advertising these super leagues, as if, it won't matter. We'll just make the AFC and the NFC version 2. We'll call one of them the Big Ten. We'll call one of them the SEC, and we'll play for a big game at the end of the year. We'll call it the Bowl of Super. No, we just deleted all of college football that way. I don't know. Again, I opened with it. I'm not smart enough to give you all the answers. I just know that it's not as simple as blaming one party or blaming one thing. I think here's the thing I would blame it on. As someone who covers this sport, was very, very plugged in and keyed in to every single new development on the NIL front. Guys, there was so much lack of foresight and just general thinking ahead in every bit of these decisions. It was just like one day it was like, oh, hey, kids can make money. Well, how? Well, I don't know. Well, can schools pay them? No, not technically. Well, is there any limit? No, there's not. Well, do they actually have to be from companies? No, you can throw it through a shell corporation and just siphon money in and money out. Well, do they get a 1099? Well, yeah, kind of. Are we going to know? Is there going to be a clearinghouse? Is there going to be any type of transparency here? No, not at all. Oh, that's a great idea. Okay. Well, now here we are 3 years later, and it's out of control. And I don't know who to blame. Most people do the blaming on the NCAA. I don't believe the NCAA ever thought we'd be here. I think the NCAA thought they was going to be figuring out which girl on the freaking cross-country team gets the ribbon. And how do we pay for the ribbon? That's all they were thinking about back in the 40s, okay, when it was needed. And by the way, the NCAA was needed because people were cheating. So people were like, hey, how do we govern this? Well, let's create the NCAA, National Collegiate Administration of Athletics. It's a great idea. Then 100 years from now, we can get rid of them because people are cheating.
Yeah, I mean, you remember a time when the NCAA was the bad guy for not letting athletes make any money off their name, image, likeness?
Yeah.
Like, remember when they were the bad guy for doing that, and now the fact that they've opened the floodgates, this is the problem that the NCAA has created where, now they're ruining football. I mean, you see all the time on Twitter, at least once a day, where people are like, college football was better when you couldn't play the athletes, when NIL wasn't a thing. So it's like, you're never going to win.
That's what I don't want to happen. I don't want people to think that just because young people are making money that our sport is ruined. No. If you're 18 years old and you make an absolute banger of a musical album, we don't stop you from being a multimillionaire. You know what I mean? Like that argument has always been goofy to me that, they're 19-year-old football players. We shouldn't give them money. That's irresponsible. What? No, shut up. Like the greatest at their job in any field get paid an exorbitant amount of money. Why don't these players do as well? I mean, I just don't want it to be, well, this is because we're paying kids. No, it's because you're paying kids with no structure. That's the problem. There is no structure at all because how could there be? Antitrust lawsuits because the NCAA wasn't, again, created to do this. They were created to just be a governing body to make sure that Hugh Freeze wasn't paying for hookers with school money. Like that's all they were trying to do originally. Now we got all this other stuff going on. So, yeah.
I think it just also a factor of it is how quickly it all changed. I mean, even like 7 years ago, college football was drastically different than it is now. And I mean, it felt like within like a calendar year, everything was completely different. College football in its entirety was completely different. And then, like, I remember like the transfer portal to me feels like it just came out of nowhere. And then like NIL deals, it was like one day you get a Twitter notification. It's like, oh, players can be paid now. Like it happened so rapidly and quickly. I don't know how you could adapt or prepare for it.
Here's how I knew they had no oversight. When they bang, they released both announcements and both timelines, I think 30 days from one another. It was like, hey, you can get paid. Hey, there's this portal thing. It's going to open up. We're going to let y'all go wherever y'all want. Well, okay, those are two pretty big changes. Oh, and then, by the way, the NCAA called and said, additional years for everybody. Mm-hmm. You know, COVID. Additional years for everybody. So it was just a cluster effing of all the different issues and possible ways that it could go wrong. So.
Tough thing to fix.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the NCAA, Canty's talking about my take. This is why I don't read a lot of comments mid-show because it throws us off. I hate this take just pretending the NCAA is just so lost and incapable, LOL. Literally one of the worst takes, and I love you, Brooks. I don't believe I called them incapable. I called them unequipped. They're not equipped to handle this, right? Again, the NCAA was created in part in the early 1900s to make sure that Vince Lombardi wasn't cheating on the Fordham team for like a couple $100 and skipping class to make sure that they can get to practice on time, like, and working kids too hard, you know, like that's what the NCAA is created for. And now this massive body of government has to make sure that we're paying football players evenly, but not getting into revenue shares, while also allowing them to go wherever they want, while also making sure they're not getting tampered with, while also making sure that people are doing these types of deals in good faith, while also they're not incapable, they're ill-equipped. That's all I'm trying to say, and that's fine. It doesn't mean we're going to get answers, though. It doesn't mean we're going to get answers at all until I think they'll if you want a limitation on transfer guys, if y'all want set salaries, if you want collectively bargained things, if you want unions, well then football and the NCAA gone, because it won't happen unless either the government bends or somebody bends, and it's something has to happen there. Speaking of bending and making big plays, Missouri today. This one ticked me off for all my rich folk everywhere. And here's why. That person, man, female, woman, I don't know, that person gave $62 million anonymously. Mm-hmm. Now, here's my thing. If I got $62 million in the show me state, my name's getting put on everything. You're going to piss on urinal cakes with my face in them in that bathroom that I just built, okay, with my $50 million of renovation on your stadium out there in Missouri and Columbia. Oh, and then the $12 million, by God, whatever player that $12 million in the NIL fund that got donated today, my name's on their jersey too. It's going to be Johnny Smith, $52 million or $10 million, $12 million, whatever. Anonymous? That honestly legitimately pissed me off today.
What if they just didn't want their name out there, though?
What if it's a shady?
What rich asshole that got $62 million you know of don't want to tell everybody he got $62 million?
Someone who's shady. Someone who got the money in a questionable way.
Money launder.
Are we? You know, I've been trying to get into Sopranos lately. We talking about some mafia moolah.
Maybe.
Could
I don't
be.
know what they got going on in the state of St. Louis, but
It's a big
potentially
garbage company that donated this money.
Who knows?
You know?
I mean, the
A
fact
trucking
that
company.
$62 million to just be like, yeah, we want to remain anonymous. I understand like winning the lottery, wanting to remain anonymous, but when you give $62 million away and you're like, yeah, we don't want anyone to know it was us.
Don't tell nobody. Don't tell
That's a red flag. Like
little bit.
it's so weird to me to
a
do
little
that.
bit. I mean, it's the show me state, not the look at me state.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're big front of the Jersey people out there at Missouri is what it
Yeah.
sounds like. Missouri.
Yeah, like maybe like $1 million was like, oh, a really wealthy person on their deathbed wanted to do this donation out of the kindness of their heart. They don't want any credit for it. That I understand, but $62 million,
man,
that's insane.
that just has me giggling. Then thinking about all those family members that were like, "Oh, the time has finally come. Let's see what the will is." $62 million to Missouri football?
Yeah,
what the hell, man?
Some grandkids are pissed right now.
Bro, some trust fund kids like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
He gave it to who?
He gave it to what? Luther Burton?
Who the hell
Huh?
is Eli Drinkowitz?
That's the other thing. Holy hell. $62 million? Y'all gave $62 million to Eli Drinkowitz. Look, I am all for my boy Eli Drink. But, dude, we're like, I don't know, an 11-win season into this. Before this, it was 5-7, 6-7, 6-7. $62 million after 11-win season. Bro, Eli Drinkowitz better be good.
I better
Yeah.
not be seeing no more camo cargo shorts. That's all I know.
Nah, he's going to still wear them.
The camo camo cargos with the camo Crocs.
Yeah, like
In 4-wheel drive.
But I mean,
That was nuts.
then again, if you're thinking about it, like you just watched a Missouri team finish in the top 10 for the first time ever, and now they're going into a conference where there are no more divisions. They're in the top conference in college football. And oh, by the way, being the 12th best team in college football gets you in the playoff and gets you a chance at winning a national title.
That's a fair point. I mean, you're at your highest moment as a program, and so I guess it's like if it's not now for us to try and push this as hard as we possibly can and see how high we can actually get this thing, then I don't know when it ever is, because you're at the absolute peak, so you might as well pour everything you got into it and see where it goes.
Yeah.
Chat said they got the money from the Ozarks.
Yeah.
Marty Bird would be the one.
Good show.
Would be the one.
Honest to God, when I read some of the bylaws on the Texas NIL rules, I was like, damn, y'all really trying to do some money laundering out here. Like, for real. That's what we out here doing. Literally, with the terms S-corps and shell corporations were getting brought up in these NIL codes and bylaws out there in Texas, which is just like, come on, we're not even hiding it now.
Good Lord.
100 grand in, 100 grand out, baby. That's straight cash laundering right there. And money laundering in college football is the way it feels like, man. Because, I mean, is this tax deductible?
Hell no.
Hell if I know.
It has to, bro. It has to. You're not giving out $62 million and not getting some tax.
Oh, if you're
breaks.
if you're the one who
So,
donated it, yeah.
The IRS definitely knows who this anonymous donor is. But
I'm
we
sure
don't.
it's gonna come out eventually.
Something's
You
going to
know what?
happen.
It was
and,
me.
I mean, it was me.
We're gonna see some goofy slapdick standing on the sideline at Missouri, aren't we?
Yeah.
And we're like, who is that?
Someone.
There's going to be some article written or some, there's no, like some building's going to get named after somebody, and it's going to be like, oh, there we go.
This is the difference between the show me state and the volunteer state. When Tennessee out here paying $8 million for an athlete, they're going to let the world know who did it and who the player is. We're going to call the athletic. We'll have a nice little write-up on Spire Collective. We're going to have everything. Don't worry about it if they call us back on what had happened. Missouri, anonymous. And I love that he was like, $50 million, new scoreboard. And here's $12 million.
It feels like them.
Just for the fuck of it.
It feels like them dipping their toe in the water. Like, let's see what happens when we do something in football. Like, let's see what happens when we try at this. Like, how are people going to react to this?
That's a good question here. Which is the biggest problem, NIL or the transfer portal? I think one is leading to the other, but the transfer portal has been hoarded out because of NIL. And here's how this works, okay, or at least from my understanding. There's no clearinghouse here. There's no government agency here. There's no you don't have to report these findings at all. So what an agent does is he calls up his coach, and the agent says, hey, player X at Georgia, his price just went up. We got Tennessee offering X amount of dollars. And the coach from Georgia goes, are you sure? How do we know that? And the agent goes, trust me, bro. That's the source. Trust me, bro. Either that or the Georgia coach has to call up the school that's apparently trying to poach their player and go, hey, are y'all doing this? And then that school's, of course, going to play dumb, right? Every time. So you either call the bluffs or you pay the person what they're demanding now in these new open markets. So I think one's playing into the other. But again, I started with this. I don't want to make the issues around college football about young people making money because they're talented. If that is the problem, then y'all need better solutions, okay? That's my thing there, because I do believe that these football players deserve some money because, good Lord, again, y'all walk around these campuses. Y'all seen where the football money goes, and it ain't no hiding about it. It's top of the line everything in Athens at those schools because of the football team. But that was my kind of takeaway from this Missouri stuff. Damn, that's a lot of money. Also, don't know how boosters feel about this. Because, again, I talked about this earlier. I think it's kind of effed up that y'all calling Timmy the booster for this salary for these players. That's messed up. I know for a fact at the school I cover, if you have been giving money to the University of Georgia for decades, your price went up. Okay, they didn't raise this money magically. They called you for it, and you're giving more now than you ever have before. That seems, I don't know, wrong. I hate to feel bad for the rich man, but I think it kind of sucks that the rich man having to pick it up, and no one else is except for the rich man.
At least the white collar folk aren't having to pick, or the blue collar folk aren't having to pick, like Alabama.
I mean, some of these places they are. I overheard a conversation the other day about how if you go to Tennessee baseball, football, basketball game, wherever, you go to the concession stand, and instead of do you want to tip, on the prompted screen, it says, do you want to contribute to the NIL fund here? Do you want to contribute to Spire Collection? 5, 10, 15, 20 write-in dollar amount at every single, paid acquisition inside those buildings in Tennessee. So, the common man is picking it up.
I mean, this might already be done, but why have the universities not created like a university tax where everything on campus you increase by 5% price, and that 5% then goes into your NIL collective? Like, what's stopping universities from doing that?
Because I don't believe school-created funds are allowed to go into these things. Because, again, we don't know the rules. There are no set rules here. So it's a mess. I feel like Marty Bird.
Marty Bird?
No.
You donate the money?
No, remember Marty Huggins from the campaign? You ever seen the one?
Oh, yeah.
It's a mess. That's the way I feel about college football sometimes. But it is what it is. I think eventually it'll settle, but it's going to take some type of drastic change in terms of the governing body. Somebody's got to bend. Dude, have y'all seen, first time ever, breaking news, we're about to talk women's sports. Have y'all seen these lines for Caitlin Clark?
Dude, I've been keeping up with Caitlin Clark since like 2 seasons ago. I mean, it was like first highlight clip that was posted.
Aficionado.
Oh my gosh, dude! As soon as I saw the first highlight clip of her posted on Twitter, I was like, "They got this going on at Iowa right now." So like, I'm not gonna say I sit down every night and I watch Caitlin Clark play, but like if I ever have the opportunity to, or like I keep up with her because I mean it's special to watch. It is. It's no overhyping it or anything like that. I mean it's legit. That girl's a hooper.
All right, so she is 66 points away from the all-time scoring record. The next home game is February 11th against Nebraska. To get an assigned seat, so not general admission. General admission is about $200 right now. But to get an assigned seat, which on average they're $12 everywhere else in women's Division I basketball, by the way. An assigned seat inside the Nebraska-Iowa women's basketball game, how much do you think it's running for right now?
An assigned seat, so
An
it's just
assigned
wherever
seat,
they put you.
You buy this ticket, you know exactly where you're going to sit inside the building.
400.
I'm going to go 500.
It's $1,000.
A-
It's $1,000 a ticket
So
Hell
to
yeah,
watch
Caitlin
women's
Clark.
basketball.
she's the
Hell
Johnny
yeah.
Manziel of Iowa women's basketball.
No,
buddy,
dude.
they gonna build all kinds of new basketball facilities under the name Caitlin Clark.
that's
She's
incredible.
what LeBron James would be if he went to college and played.
Yeah, and stayed 4.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's
And
insane.
stayed 4 because I heard a lot of people doing the super senior thing on Caitlin. It's not true. She started 4 years. By the way, I looked it up today. She's averaging 28 points, 7 rebounds, and 8 assists for her career. Those are her career stat lines. And she hasn't been held under 20 points in a game since like mid-August of last year or like mid-whenever of last year. She's got like
She's insane.
45 games in a row scoring over 20 points.
Jeez.
I mean, the fact that you have – imagine telling someone in 2015, like, hey, there's going to be a basketball player that's going to make the entire country care about women's basketball in Iowa. Like, that's how good she is.
Yeah.
She's made people care everywhere.
Yeah,
And
that's
these,
insane.
like the videos that I've seen are like, I saw a video from the Maryland game yesterday where I saw like a 400, 500 people long line outside of the building, way ahead of game time to get in there and watch. And these are road games. I saw stats that said road tickets are up 150% in sales at every game she goes to.
She's got to be the most influential female collegiate athlete of all time. Like who do you
The thing about like the UConn run, it was Gino's thing. Like they always had great players, but
Yeah, it was
and
a-
we know
it was a
some of the names,
team.
right? Maya Moore. We know some of the names.
I remember Brittany Griner was a
Right?
huge deal when she was
At
in
Baylor.
college.
Right.
Yeah.
A huge deal. But guess who got the $3 million contract? Kim Mulkey, who was her head coach in Baylor. So it was very much so, again, very akin to the Gino Auriemma thing. It was about the coach. This is so much more
Right.
about the individual player. I don't know of a football example to this. Johnny Manziel's a great example of this, where the football player transcended Texas A&M. I think like people my generation just they associate Johnny with Texas A&M. I didn't even think about Texas A&M football before Johnny Manziel. Like
Oh, yeah,
never
no.
even thought about them as other than don't they kiss each other after touchdowns? Like that's it.
Yeah,
It's a
Texas A&M
common
was
joke.
just the team that got beat by Texas.
Yeah,
every
it's just the
year.
dudes
Yeah.
that made
Yeah.
out with each other when they scored touchdowns. That's about it. That's a real thing, by the way. At Texas A&M, if you score, you have to kiss the person next to you,
You would know.
male or female. I wouldn't have. I'm the college football historian around here. And when you get your class ring, you have to drop it in like a pitcher, and you have to chug the pitcher until you swallow your ring, or your ring ends up in your mouth.
Oh, I was about to say you
swallow the ring?
buy
What
it
the
just
hell?
to swallow
Yeah,
it.
I got a cousin that was an ag farmer, and now he's in Seattle doing something. So shouts out Texas A&M. But anyways, this Caitlin Clark stuff, nuts,
It's insane.
crazy.
Yeah,
I
love
mean,
it.
like, I truly believe she's the most influential female collegiate athlete of all time. Like, no one else has done numbers like she has on the court and in the stands.
Yeah, I ain't even gonna lie to you. When I first heard about the story the last couple of years, I was like, oh, she out here getting 30 a game, probably just a straight sniper. She probably just,
Yeah, just hitting threes.
Yeah, 15, 23
does
points.
that.
Nah, Shawty got a bag. Shawty has a bag, and she's hitting logos.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, like, it's a little bit combination of both. And body and the foul against
Yeah.
Maryland. I watched some. Ooh, I was unfamiliar with your game, Caitlin. I am no longer. So, yeah, can't believe we did it, but we talked women's sports because she be drawing a crowd.
deserves
dog.
it.
Yeah.
She be drawing a crowd. All right, top 5 things about the offseason. Now, I don't know how you guys did this. I did this in terms of top 5 things that I enjoy about the offseason. We will start with number 5. No, we'll go 1
Oh, I
to
didn't
5.
rank mine. I just made a list.
No, I just 1 through 5 here.
Okay.
Number 1, first and foremost, brownie points, my wife and kids. I actually get to be around them.
Yeah.
I get to spend some time with them.
Yeah.
You guys see the schedule during the season. It's not conducive to any type of family rearing. So there's that. I really enjoy that. Hey, how about a little give them 3 for self-improvement? Self-improvement during the offseason. Don't have a lot of time midday to, haul up and go for a jog, or do some workouts in the stew. So during the off season, we get an opportunity to do some of these things. Shouts out self-improvement. I personally love getting on the recruiting trail. I love this about the off season. I love meeting new coaches. I love talking to you coaches that listen to this show all the time. By the way, that's starting to come more and more. We appreciate you guys. I know there's a lot of long time in the road, and though we are a visual product, I know you guys enjoy listening to us, so we appreciate you guys for being out there on the trail with us like we always are during the spring. So love doing that. The other thing, number 4, spring practice. Just I love I used to hate it as a player. Ooh, man, you talk about some anxiety. Ugh, I feel like I just took this helmet and shoulder pads off, and now I got to do it for another 45 days. Are
Really?
you absolutely crazy? Yeah, dude. College spring practice is anxiety filled, and you have to remember from a D2 perspective, spring practice was free agency for you. Okay, because a lot of people don't know that that's 35 scholarships for the entire roster, not 85. So they're all percentage scholarships, right? You might be 65% on Scally. You get a good spring, you might be 72%. Hey, that's another $8,000 in your pocket. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is the reality of college football for most people on the Division II and Division III level. Those things are nerve-wracking. I always dreaded spring practice, and super, super duper physical. Very, very painful the entire time with no reward. At least you get the games during the fall. So really, really enjoy spring practice as an evaluator and as someone who watches the sport now. Didn't necessarily love it as a player. Now, number 5, and I think this is the most important thing about the off season, the anticipation.
Yep.
And just how it just builds,
Yes.
man. Like right now, we're in that slappy anticipation mode right now. We got like 240 people watching. Y'all milling around. Y'all kind of decide what you want to do. Maybe some of you watching Netflix tonight, not watching us live, whatever, right? But it's going to build. There's going to be a crescendo. How about that musical term? A crescendo. All right, and then we're going to reach that apex. We're going to pop that cherry in September, and we're going to get off into our college football season. So, yeah, the anticipation this time of the year really be building. Mm-hmm. By the way, I got to mark these F words. So.
Yeah, that one caught me off guard.
Hey, every once in a while, look out now.
Was not expecting that one to come on there.
That was a good list.
But no, I do agree. As much as I love college football and as much as I love waking up on Saturday and seeing as all the games that are coming through, and even coming up on Sunday, being able to watch NFL games after that, it is nice to have a weekend where it's like, you know what? I can wake up at whatever time I want. I don't have to worry about this game. I don't have to worry about staying out late. And I just have the entire day to myself. So I totally do see what you're saying with having free times and things like that.
You like doing normal shit, not just like staring at football all day? What's wrong with you?
I mean, that is normal
sometimes.
shit to me, but it is nice to have every now and then be like, you know what? I'm going to go outside today.
Yeah.
Go on a nature walk.
You know what?
A nature walk.
I'm joking. I
Nature
don't do
walk.
You do nature walks, huh?
that. Nah.
I didn't think so.
I just figured I'd say that.
Hey, for those of you trying to get into running like my fat ass is, trail running, breathe a lot harder, run a lot further and longer because you're thinking about
because
less about
you're
how much it
constantly
sucks.
you're constantly worried about not spraining your ankle or like something attacking you and you die.
Correct. So some of my longer runs in terms of just like not distance but in terms of like time lapse will be out on trails. So
Yeah,
You want to do yours first?
we can go back and forth if you want because I mean I feel like some of ours will overlap.
Okay. All right. That's fine. First one, summertime. Summertime in general, like that's just good vibes. You know, I'm entering the next stage of life where like I don't get a summer break, you know, because I will be graduating in May. But still, just like summer in general of like going to the pool, going to the lake, or just having some more freedom throughout your time. Just an immaculate time of the year, in my opinion.
can be a little hot down here.
Yeah,
but that's okay.
But you got solutions for it. That's why you go to the lake, you go to the pool, or you could just kick it inside and do nothing. You know, you got a lot of options.
I was about to say that right there sounds like a man with options.
Got a lot
You
of
can go
options.
outside, you can stay inside.
Or you can be broke and not do anything of these.
Take a nap.
That's also an option.
Yeah.
Take a
it
nap.
definitely is.
Definitely is an option. What else we got?
I also had free weekends just to make plans. I don't have kids.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah, thank
I don't have
God.
kids, so I don't have that to allocate time to or anything like that. But, free weekends, just being able to enter in, like, especially now, like enter it for it's a school year, like you finish up your school week. I can just chill out on Saturday if I want to. I can go hang out with friends if I want to or anything like that. So weekends are definitely top tier.
I did forget the honey-do list. Ooh. As an OLI, outside looking in on my top 5, I don't love it, but I know my wife does. Like the variety of projects that we have to tackle.
I love projects.
Huh?
I love doing projects.
Oh, yeah?
Like what kind of projects?
I mean, last year, the big project.
Yeah.
I mean, we're sitting in it.
Yeah.
This was a massive project, as you can imagine. Took about 4 months, 5 or 6 if you include the planning.
Yeah.
We were first brain idea was February 11th of 2023. We first debuted August 7th. So that's about 7 months.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And here we are.
A year makes a difference.
Make sure you subscribe.
Yeah, please.
I spent my life saving. I'm just kidding.
One of my favorite things about this is the shit talking during the offseason is at its peak because no one's taken a loss. No one's been humbled yet. Everyone's seen the preseason hype videos. Everyone's watching people run routes on air and throw against nobody and like, oh my God, our quarterback's won the Heisman. This team's unstoppable. You can't beat us. Shit talk is at its peak during the offseason. And I feel like that leads to anticipation, which is one of the best things. My favorite thing about the offseason is just watching people on Twitter just go after it.
Yeah.
Like right now, the Twitter fans or FSU Twitter attacking Kirk Herbstreit.
Yeah, that's wild.
That's been so fun to watch.
This is the same fan base that made Todd Hartley, of all people, turn his replies off because they were talking about his wife and his children. This is also the same fan base that called Miss Terry and blew her phone up.
I told you, dude.
And did all kinds of terrible things to Miss Terry's phone.
Yeah. I have a take about Florida State and FSU fans in the Georgia Hour that I will tie into the Georgia Hour as well.
it.
I said on Thursday, they're doing some elite trolling right now.
Yeah.
It's elite, but I think it's also cost them a major opportunity with their program, in my opinion. So,
That's a take to save.
Interesting.
yeah, but I think that it also the shit talking in the offseason is because people are pissed that there is no college football. So they're just mad. They get all this built up anger.
a
And they just
Cold
want to
War.
take it out on everybody. Another one I had on my list. There is arguably nothing better as a man than in your routine fitting in a preseason football talking session with the boys. Like if you're just chilling on the couch, maybe you got a baseball game on that you're not really watching, but you're just hanging out. Or like I did it with my dad every single time throughout the summertime. Of like, so who do you think like is going to be the big guy this year? Like, what do you think our weaknesses are? Just like go into 2-hour conversation of just preseason football. Yeah,
Well, preseason
of just
powwow.
preseason talk with your guys. It's awesome.
I didn't have a lot of these powwows. My pops was a big Phil Steele reader. He'd be getting the Phil Steele magazine and flipping through that. And you can still tell he's regurgitating the Phil Steele takes every once in a while when I call him. It's so funny to be a person who like gives opinions now for a living in sports. Like I used to just have general conversations with my dad about all these things or my friends or whatever. And now it's like my dad, when we're on the phone, he'll like probe me for like information, like I'm his new Phil Steele, because I know he's probably gambling on whatever. I'm like, hey man, I don't know, man. I play dumb a lot with my pops because I don't want to sway whatever's going on because you never know what's going on.
Yeah.
Why are you plotting? What you got? You trying to
Cost
put a
me
nickel on
$50.
Fresno State? What you doing, B?
Another thing that's gotten really, and I've kind of learned to love this, as much as people say it's ruining college football, the transfer portal and the coaching carousel that takes place during the offseason is a lot of fun and causes a lot of drama. And it's led to a lot of great things like the Jimbo-Nick Saban feud for a while. That was fun to watch.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it has its downfalls. We all know that the NIL transfer portal thing it's a problem in college football. It needs to be fixed or at least remedied. But it is very entertaining to watch and kind of like, wait a minute. This person's entering the portal. What the hell? That's out of nowhere. Like they're going here. It's a lot of fun. It's like free agency for college football because you didn't have this 6 years ago.
Yeah. I'll give my last one, and it's going to die out this year, but for a good reason. Firing up NCAA 14 like a late summer just to get that fix in, that last fix that you need of like, I got to bridge this gap just to give me the football season. Firing up the old video game and just reminiscing.
Yeah, I've been getting my Madden on lately in anticipation of the release of the new one.
No, you got NCAA 14.
Yeah, bro. I mean that's all cool, but I can't scrub people online and make them quit.
Oh, that's what you do?
Yeah, that's what I do.
Last night you were doing that?
Hey, let's not talk about that. Let's not talk about that.
Okay. I'm just checking in on you, seeing what the record was.
You know, I mean, we ain't gotta put it on blast.
No,
like
I was
that.
just simple question. I knew you were on the Madden grind, so I was just wondering how the record was.
You ain't gotta let people know all that. But nah, I've been out here. Been out here, you know, getting down. Yeah, we're gonna see. We're gonna see about the NCAA game. I think it's gonna be fun.
I hope so.
I'm so excited, dude.
Yeah.
I cannot wait.
I saw T-Bob on Air Bear. Is that how you pronounce that? It looks like Herbert, but it's actually Air Bear apparently. That's how he pronounced it. I saw him on Snaps the other day talking about how they kind of got the lowdown on how to get in, because apparently there's going to be a legacy
Ultimate team.
Ooh. And you know,
yeah,
Aaron's going to be on that. They're going to have to call him for his likeness. I would imagine. So
they're going to have probably 1,000 NIL people in that game.
Yeah.
When you combine all of the current college football players with every legendary college football player that they can put in an Ultimate Team, like, you're going to have upwards of 600, 700, even 1,000 people.
Well, those checks are minuscule. I remember talking to like when MLB The Show first came out and they started paying those guys and had to. Just having your name in the game is worth like $50.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm talking about that. I'm talking about from like EA's perspective of they're going to have to do 750 face scans of coaches, players, media personalities. I mean, it's so much work.
Do you think there's going to be a Bill Belichick of the NCAA game?
What do you mean?
So Bill Belichick is not in Madden. He never was. Like, if it ever panned to the New England Patriots sideline, it was some random dude.
Generic.
But it was Bill Belichick, but it was just some random dude. Do you think there's going to be a college coach like, you ain't put me in that game? And it's just going to be some Kirby? It would be Kirby.
Kirby, like, I don't believe in that. Video games? Touch grass, nerd.
Block my number right now.
Touch grass. Hey, last national topic before we move on to the local hour. Bill O'Brien, going to be the offensive coordinator at Ohio State, now might be the head coach at Boston College. Is that what I saw today?
Yeah.
Shout out.
Man.
I mean, more of like a where does Ohio State go from here type deal.
I think Ryan Day's happy. I think
Ryan Day's just taking play calls?
The only reason Ryan Day has an offensive coordinator is because people made him.
I thought it was the weirdest thing anyways, because, you know, they went through this whole thing of Brian Hartline is labeled as the offensive coordinator, but we know he's not calling the plays. Ryan Day is still doing that. And then when they wanted to hire Bill O'Brien as the offensive coordinator, I was like, what's the entire purpose of this? Because I feel like there was no need to bring in an extra guy. So I feel like maybe Bill O'Brien showed up to the place and was like, shoot, I don't want to be here. I ain't spending a whole year here. If I can get out of here, I will, I guess.
Bill O'Brien's like, that guy's complaining, making $2.5 million a year, going 6-7 at Boston College. Sign me up, baby. I'll do that shit tomorrow, dog. What you talking about? I can go 500 at BC and make a cool, crisp $2 million. Come on. I'll take it, Mr. Halfley. Don't know what you're doing. Yeah, that's wild. Hey, we got a whole nother hour coming up right now.
Welcome into Talk the Dog, the show where we find a bone to pick and a take to give. These are not hot takes. These is dog takes. Can I talk that dog?
What's up? You really like that?
Let's shut up and grind some tape.
It's too late now.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back in for our local hour. It's Talk That Dog, where we find these topics about these Georgia Bulldogs, and we talk them to you here on the Film Guy Network. If you just joined us, if you haven't subscribed already, please feel free to do so. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure you're hanging out with us every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday live from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock here on the channel. Also, make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button, going ahead and resetting our what we call call to action here in the industry. So make sure you're showing us our support, however, wherever you can. If you missed any portion of tonight's broadcast, we are and readily available for you guys over on any and wherever podcast. However, wherever you get your podcast, we will be made available for you guys over there. Make sure you're subscribing and leaving us a review over there. Just do all of the support stuff that you can possibly do for us. We would greatly appreciate you guys for that. Hey, every Rocky needs an Apollo Creed. And I was thinking about this today, and not just because our guy Carl Weathers suddenly passed away. R.I.P. Carl Weathers. First of all, I will remember Carl Weathers as Chubbs from Billy Madison.
Great movie.
It's all in the
Just
hips,
tap
baby.
it in.
Just tap it in.
Send that
we'll
ball
be
home.
all over that. Some bitch got me, but I took his eye. I love when he's poking the thing with his wood hand. That shit's awesome. He's like, I got that sucker's eye. It's just a great role. So RIP, but nonetheless, it had me thinking, man, like I said, every Rocky needs an Apollo Creed. And here's what I mean by this. I think Apollo Creed and the Rocky versus Apollo Rocky was the greatest one, and he was the most formidable opponent because he was both formidable and likable. I think that was the one kind of Rocky movie where you're almost kind of rooting for both guys to win. Like, I don't think there was any harbored hatred from the viewer's standpoint for Apollo Creed, unless you got something else going on. I don't think there was any reasons to dislike Apollo. I think they made Apollo extremely, extremely likable, so much so that he kind of becomes a confidant and a friend later on in the Rocky franchise because the fans liked him that much. So when talking about these two guys, right, and this dichotomy of a relationship where not only is the opponent very formidable and a very worthy opponent, but that opponent is also likable by the fan base or by the audience base. So obviously making Kirby Smart Rocky in this kind of, metaphor, if you will, who would be his Apollo Creed? Like if Kirby Smart is indeed, like we believe him to be, on top of college football now with the retirement of Nick Saban and the subsequent departure to the NFL from Jim Harbaugh, if there really is no second, like who is Kirby Smart's, Apollo Creed to his Rocky? So I'll open it to you guys. I got a bunch of different, theories and thought processes. I said Billy Madison. I'm an idiot. It's Happy Gilmore, obviously. But anyways, who would you nominate for this both likable and formidable opponent for Kirby Smart's Rocky Balboa?
All right. So this is where my take about FSU comes in. I think that it would have been Kirby Smart and Mike Norvell if Florida State fans knew how to shut their mouths and be quiet and just kind of sit in the moment for a little bit, because I feel like for a while last season, people were kind of rooting for FSU, like, a new blue, like a face that was in college football for a long time, kind of went down into the gutter for a little bit, but now it's coming back up. Mike Norvell, super likable guy, but now ever since they got cut out of the playoffs, they've just ran their mouths of anybody or anyone that wanted to come and walk on their territory. They wanted to just kill them or whoever. It just owned them. And I think that their fan base and just kind of how everything has gone over the past couple months, they've kind of tainted themselves a little bit.
Tommy Fury.
Yeah. They've kind of tainted themselves of becoming this very likable, very gravitational football program that people could kind of root for, even if they were outside of their own fan base. So instead,
Mike Norvell is Street Fight Tommy. My grandfather would be so proud right now.
Why?
This segment. Oh my God. He's
Tommy
a big
Fury?
Italian stallion guy. Oh no, he loves Rocky, dude. He just, oh man, Rocky and Top Gun. My grandfather.
really
Tommy,
easy to like.
Tommy
Tommy
Fury.
was in. Tommy was in Rocky. They fought in the street that one time.
You're talking about Tommy Gunn
Yeah,
in Rocky 5.
yeah.
Okay.
Street Fight Tommy. That's what I'm talking
Got you. Okay.
about. Yeah.
Okay. You said Tommy Fury. I was like, who's that?
That's who ended up.
Isn't that Tyson Fury's
his
younger
brother?
brother?
It's a real life version.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute.
But anyways.
So anyways, the conclusion and the answer that I came to, and I can't say that I necessarily love this answer, but it was really the only one that I could come to in good faith and bring it to the table. Kirby Smart and Lane Kiffin, I feel like kind of is this relationship where no matter how annoying Lane Kiffin is on Twitter, no matter how stupid his tweets are or how outrageous his comments are about anything, people are going to root for the guy. Like if Kirby, I feel like, and now especially that there's no divisions, I feel like we're going to get to see this matchup a whole lot more. I think Kirby Smart and Lane Kiffin is just a good matchup that everybody wants to see.
So what you just described is what Marion Campbell's talking about in the chat right now. Lane Kiffin is Snidely Whiplash from Dudley Do Right. Like he is the ornery, kind of lighthearted bad guy, villain. That is Snidely Whiplash. Mm-hmm. Like in fact, I want the audience to Photoshop me a photo of Lane Kiffin in the Snidely Whiplash uniform because, yeah, that is it right there. So I think that's kind of what and I went there. It's like Lane Kiffin, but Lane Kiffin not very likable, is he? It kind of the bag's up and down on him. You either love
It is,
him,
like,
you're
like hot or cold
you
on
like
him.
the Steez, or you're like, screw Lane Kiffin, I hate that guy.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, I don't necessarily love the answer, but it was enough to where I felt comfortable bringing it up, and I feel like it's a pretty solid answer.
I like it, but I also like Marion Campbell comparing that to Snidely Whiplash because, by the way, Dudley Do Right, a great movie with Brandon Fraser back in the day. If you haven't watched it, you should.
Handsome Brandon Fraser.
Yeah, handsome Brandon Fraser.
All right, the answer is Nick Saban.
Well, it was, and that's gone.
It's Nick Saban.
It still is?
It's
How
still
is
Nick
this possible?
Saban. We are at if Nick Saban is the Apollo Creed, we are halfway through Rocky IV now.
Okay.
Where
He's coming back.
he
as
was
like
the
a trainer?
Nick Saban was Kirby Smart's mentor for so long. He was the unstoppable guy. He was the undisputed champion, and now we're at a spot where Kirby Smart has kind of taken the reins, and he is now in the champion line. Think about it too. He mentored Kirby Smart. They grew up. They didn't grow up together, but Kirby Smart's coaching career grew up under this. You're now at a spot where Nick Saban has, quote unquote, been defeated, slain, died, and Kirby Smart has to avenge that loss. The only problem is the guy that beat him ran away to the NFL.
Oh.
And think about it more also, like, as much as everyone wants to hate Nick Saban, as much as you dislike Nick Saban, as much as you preyed on his downfall, he was always respectable. He was always, at some point, kind of likable. You didn't like him, but you understood who he was, and you respected that. So I think Nick Saban is the Apollo Creed to Rocky Balboa.
It definitely was. And if we're going to assume that he's gone and he's no longer an option, I like the reasoning as to why he's still there, right? Very Rocky IV-ish, as you said. I like that metaphor. I think the obvious answer, it's not Ryan Day. Ryan Day's a formidable opponent. But Ryan Day's not likable at all. Nobody wants Ryan Day winning. You know what I mean? I think we threw out any opportunity for likable with tough team. When the moment that happened, everybody was out on the Ryan Day. All right, just everybody was like, nah, we can't be doing it. So Ryan Day got marked off the list. Now, here is the answer. Here is the real Apollo Creed answer. It's Dan Lanning. Dan Lanning is both a formidable opponent now with what he's built in Oregon, and he's very likable as an opponent. I think people aren't necessarily going to be out here, rooting against Dan Lanning in any type of situation.
The only problem I have with having Dan Lanning, yes, he is the most likable. He is of the Kirby Smart coaching tree. Apollo Creed was the mentor figure to Rocky in that Nick Saban was that. And Apollo beat Rocky more than he lost to him.
Yeah.
He went 2-1 because, he won the secret third fight.
Did he?
Yeah.
I thought that was like Rocky lore. I don't think they ever told the answer.
No, if you watch the first episode of Creed, he tells Adonis that.
I whoop that ass.
I'm deep into Rocky.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so no,
That checks out.
I love it, dude. But no, I my problem with having Dan Lanning as the Apollo Creed is that it puts Dan Lanning as kind of like the mentor father figure almost. So I feel like that's why I think it's Nick Saban, because Nick Saban is a true mentor to Kirby Smart.
Eli Drinkowitz on his way, right?
He could be.
Y'all doing this. That man just got $62 million. And I don't know if you've noticed the schedule. The schedule this year, not terrible. They open with Murray State, Buffalo, Boston College, Vandy. So that's what, 5-0, 4-0 right there off rip. Texas A&M at home. Then they go to UMass for some strange reason. Auburn at Bama, Oklahoma, at South Carolina, at Mississippi State, at Arkansas. I got it as an 8-win floor. Or excuse me, Arkansas. So I give them these wins right here, just looking at the schedule. They're going to beat Murray State. They're going to beat Buffalo. They're going to beat Boston College. They're going to beat Vandy. They're going to beat UMass. They're going to beat Auburn. Actually, I left Auburn as an iffy. They're going to beat South Carolina. They're going to beat Mississippi State. They're going to beat Arkansas. Those are 8 wins off rip. I give them, like, just looking at the schedule right now, an 8-win floor with these 4 games having not been decided on their schedule. Texas A&M, Auburn, which I think they can go 2-0 there, Bama, and Oklahoma. Looking at the schedule, why isn't Missouri 10-2 this year?
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, it feels more so like a guarantee that you win 10 games this year.
It's a very promising schedule. I'm pumping the brakes on the Eli Drinkowitz hype train until you can show the success 2 years in a row.
So you got a 2-year rule. So it's got to happen within 3 years, and you've got to do it twice for us to believe in you.
For me to go like, yeah, he's legitimately the right.
I don't
answer.
hate this because I was thinking about this myself. Like we talked about it in the National Hour. $62 million. All it took was 5-7, 6-7, 6-7, 1-11-2 season.
Yeah,
$62 million. What?
I mean, let's.
If I'm not mistaken, Gary Pinkel won the damn division one time at Missouri, didn't he?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm with you. I
They won
like
it
Drake,
twice, didn't
but
they?
are we 100% positive?
I mean,
Then they won it twice, didn't they?
No. The 1 year with Gilbert as the quarterback.
I couldn't remember.
I mean, hell, Sonny Dykes went to the national championship
Yeah.
2 years ago. Like, there's
Do it
so many
twice.
there's so many examples of
like
guys that had really really good years, got labeled as like, hey, they're a top 5 coach in college football right now, and then they had come back to earth moment. Like Josh Heupel was one. If you had watched that 2022 season, you would have thought Tennessee was a playoff team in 2023. We all know they were far from that. So I think you have to do it. I don't even know if it's do it twice. Do it 2 years in a row.
I'm off of it just because I don't know. I think I like Drinkowitz, but he's also flirting with the line a little bit of he's getting to the point where I think less people are going to start liking him. I'm starting to put him in
the stood on business thing.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
and like I'm starting to put him in the same boat as Shane Beamer, where like Shane Beamer first few years, like, yeah, give me all of Shane Beamer. I'm loving what I'm seeing from South Carolina and what he's building over there. And then this last year, that's all it took for everybody to be like, screw that guy. I'm not a huge fan of Shane Beamer anymore. Eli Drinkowitz very quickly could fall off of this cliff and join Shane Beamer in the boat down at the bottom.
I think once you kind of step out of that, hey, this guy's new and fresh, and he's kind of the underdog story, to then you're like a here-to-stay figure, people immediately start to dislike you. And then the personality traits that people might not like as much come out. It's why everyone hates Patrick Mahomes right now. Like
Everybody
29
hates Pat.
People are
people are
hating him
preying
a
on
lot.
that man's downfall.
For real.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like 2019, Patrick Mahomes was like, he's got next, he's up and coming, he's the new star. And now that he's become the star, he's no longer the fun underdog story. Everyone hates him. So I mean, that's gonna happen with Drinkowitz if
Come on, guys.
Yeah, it's too not high enough.
I told Trav.
Nah.
You gotta,
You got more Kermit.
I gotta find out. I gotta
A
find
Kermit?
out.
Try to do a
With-
Kermit
I
the
don't even know
Frog.
Kermit. We'll work on it off screen.
wait, you don't like know who
I don't
he
know
is?
the voice. If you told me
Oh.
to try to mimic a Kermit
Okay.
voice right now, I could
Kermit
not.
the
That's
Frog
wild.
here.
That's
Okay.
more Patrick
So a little bit
Mahomes.
more.
So like your
no-
flu voice with
Yeah.
Kermit. That's what you need.
Okay, I'll work on it off camera.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, not great impersonation there. But I can't believe that. That's wild to me.
Yeah,
I get not liking the wife.
I
get
think
like-
that's
I
there's a
get not
lot.
liking
That
the
plays
brother.
into it.
There's
The
a lot
fact-
of factors
all
to
that.
it.
I get all of that. But not
I think it's
liking
also
him.
what he did with Josh Allen after they played in the regular season.
Oh, the bitching and the complaining.
Yeah, like worst
Yeah.
call
Start
I've ever
bitching and
seen in my
complaining.
life. Like people hate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
they
yeah.
started.
You're right. That makes sense. So I get it. Should we go to the combine?
I would love to.
I think it'd be pretty fun.
I think it'd be fun.
By the way, you aren't the only person that texted me the combine. Which one? I was texting a scouting friend, and I said, should I go to the combine? And the first response I got was like, what combine are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, there's hundreds of combines. all
No,
over.
there is not.
There's
The
the
combine, though?
combine.
Yeah, which
The
is how I
combine?
phrased all of it. Do you want to go to the combine? What combine? What are you talking about? I thought that was wild today. Two people, not just
I
you.
didn't say what combine. I said NFL combine. Clarify. NFL combine, a question mark.
I guess the fucking the horse combine. I don't know. Yeah, the combine, the
They
one
have,
in
they have
Indianapolis.
Nike combines like all the time in the offseason.
No,
And to be fair, you're also going to the Under Armour All American.
not a combine.
It's not a combine, but it's a showcase.
Okay,
You could label it as a combine.
all right.
I'm in though.
Anyways, So I think we should go.
I would love to go.
We have applied for credentials. I think what I want to do this season and from this moment forward, I think we need to make a drastic effort on improving our road shows. I think we have a state-of-the-art studio. I think we have a professional-looking broadcast. I think we could use some lower templates in terms of talking about what we're talking about and showing the audience that's not listening to us what we're talking about, all that good stuff. There is definitely room for improvements on the product itself. But the next thing for us is to make sure I'm not just one guy with a tripod and one camera and a switcher when we go on visits or when we go places. I want to turn this thing into a road show, like
road
real
show.
road show. But that's expensive, so that's the next kind of invest Brooks's life savings on the product.
You gonna vlog?
Huh?
You can do vlogs?
No, but I do want. I honestly I think that type of content, that style of content, does well on YouTube for every other content creator. We've done the day in the life stuff. I enjoy doing the mic'd up on Friday nights. I enjoy doing all this. I think it's some of our better content. but it's not fully encapsulating enough as some of these other events will be. Like if we brought a crew to the Senior Bowl, I think that would be different next year, right? If we took one with us to the Elite 11, okay, and we actually got to do these types of things because we have these relationships where, yeah, we can bring players over there and sit down with you, that kind of stuff that other shows get to do because they have big companies behind them. Well, we are the company, so we're going to invest. I'm going to try to do something along those lines in terms of enhancing our roadshow products.
I like it.
All right, so that's the next goal for us. Welcome into the local hour. We got a loaded one for you. The 2025 quarterback picture getting relatively clear for the University of Georgia. We're going to talk about that. James Cook had a cockamamie theory that we're going to talk about. Ladd McConkey really finna do it. Ladd McConkey really finna do something I never thought was going to be done by that young man. We're going to give you the latest from the mock draft conversation. And a former Georgia quarterback has a new offensive coordinator, or will have a new offensive coordinator, and it might be a familiar face, and we thought it was necessary to talk about it tonight. Make sure you're going ahead and supporting those who support us. Run over to prizepicks.com. Use promo code Brooks today. You get a 100% deposit match. You know what that means. Put up to $100. You get $100 matched instantly. Let's talk about this 2025 quarterback picture right now. So, obviously, Georgia recruits every single class independently, right? We're trying to get the best players in each individual class. Doesn't matter what the room looks like. However, the quarterback room thinner than probably ever before. Okay, maybe dating back to like that year where it was just Jake Fromm and
2019
walk-on Stetson Bennett.
Yeah.
It's about it. Okay, hey, look, we got this freshman Dwan Mathis too. We'll see. Yeah. Okay, that kind of deal. And here comes JT Daniels and Jamie Newman and the kid from Nevada. Nonetheless, whole bunch of things going on. This is probably the lightest it's been and the thinnest that it's been, with a very, very good 2025 recruiting class out there. I got 3 names for you guys tonight, okay? And at this point, we're kind of just starting the 2025 cycle publicly, but the groundwork has been laid well before this, okay? And the board is very, very clear even at this point in the cycle. Sometimes in the cycle at this time, there's like 12 names that they're going to dwindle down to 2, and then they're going to hope to land one of those 2. Well, at this point in the cycle now, they already have 3 names. They know the 3 names. There's a potential 4th. We're not going to relay for you guys tonight. We'll give it to patreon.com/Brooks Austin. The 4th name, complete insurance policy. The first 3 names, priorities. Okay, now how they rank and how the board looks at them and how the board sees them, that's a discussion for Mike Bobo. That's a discussion for Kirby Smart. That's a discussion for Gummy Van Gorder. That's a discussion for the decision makers. All right, what we can do, though, is bring you the 3 names, look at them on the screen, tell you what we believe them to be and how we would go about ranking them and then recruiting them, and maybe we are in line or in lockstep with how your favorite football team evaluates these 3 football players. So, these 3 football players, what are their names? 1, Ryan Montgomery. 2, Matt Zollers. 3, of course, the new 2025 reclass, Julian Lewis. Those are the 3 names. Those are the ones that you're focused on. Those are the ones that you have kind of pin circled, okay? Circled with pin in terms of who you want and who you're going to recruit. I think it's important that we go through each of these individuals one at a time because that's what they are. They're being lumped into one recruiting board, but they are 3 very, very different football players, and I think you'll notice that by the tape. We're going to watch Ryan Montgomery first, the kid out of Ohio. He is 6'4", 210-ish pounds. You're going to notice off this tape, everything is out of empty. His football team transitioned into a new offense this last offseason, and they threw it probably 50 times a game, and they threw it all 50 times out of empty, okay? So he's back there just deciphering a full-on air raid, and he's a big ripper. All right, this tonight is big fundamental. Okay, this is going to be our comparison for Ryan Montgomery. You're going to see this is Tim Duncan. Okay, nothing he does is super flashy. Nothing he does is wow. There's not a lot of wow to this. Man, it's just big fundamental. He's a big physical kid, and because of the way the system looks, I actually had to go outside of the huddle to make my full evaluation of this individual because you're going to see there's a lot of running the grass in this, 5-wide system that he's running. And there's not a lot of like, hey, is this applicable? Is he going to do this to the next level? What was the Under Armour 50 under 50, 7-on-7 film that I found, where you actually see, okay, this guy is a very clean decision maker. This guy's very, very vanilla is the wrong term, but I know what I'm going to get if I sign Ryan Montgomery. If I sign Ryan Montgomery, I am getting a 6'4", 210-pound decision maker who is very accurate with the football. Maybe doesn't have the biggest arm in the world, but gets the job done. You know who I have if I have Ryan Montgomery? I have about 90 to 95% of Carson Beck. That's what I think. So let's go watch the tape. We got him up first?
Yes, we do.
All right, so here's what you're going to see. Big fundamental. All right, big kid. Very, I wouldn't say physical in nature, but just has the frame and is very, very clean cut and dry. All right. Very professional in his approach too. You talk to him, he sounds like a 25-year-old. A 24, 25-year-old. Okay. Here you see, again, I don't know how applicable this is. I know teams do this. I think they got a switch wheel with a post right here. Yep, they got a wheel right here from 2 with a post right here from number 1. And he throws it right on the face of that kid. You're going to see intermediate throws 20 to 30 yards downfield on almost every single one of these clips, like this right here. Great touch on the ball, great identification. Hey, we got the winner in the one-on-one right here. Safety rotating over to the right. But this is what these empty systems do. I mean, look, we got guys running to grass everywhere. We got some grass throw here, some grass throw here. We got the dig on the backside and a go ball here. There's a lot of options for us, and he rips that out route right there on the bottom of your screen. Everything, and I mean everything, out of the empty right here. That's a big boy throw from the right hash over to the left on a speed out, okay? But you see the frame, you see, hey, not a lot of flash or pizzazz. We watch a lot of kids, hey, we're gonna watch 2 of them coming up that do a whole lot of fun stuff, okay? Do a lot of stuff with their lower half. They do a lot of stuff with their arm angles. They do a lot of stuff with their feet, okay? Ryan Montgomery is chicken and rice. That is what we got going on. We got chicken and rice right here, the preferred diet of our boy Christian Kirby.
Amen.
You a white rice or a brown rice guy, Kirby?
White rice.
Yeah, we don't do none of them rich shit. We don't do none of that.
I don't have a
stuff.
preference. It just tastes better to me.
Bang.
Yes.
All right, so there we go. We got Ryan Montgomery right here. I think a very, very, very solid. All right, if you're looking into, hey, I know what I'm going to get. I'm going to get a serviceable starter, maybe a 2-year starter, 3-year starter. This is Carson Beck. This is Kyle Trask.
Ooh,
all right, you hear me? Kyle
that
Trask,
throw?
another good little comp right here for me. You like this play?
Rolling to the left, throws a Dover. Over
Oh, yeah, we're gonna see some stuff here in a second. We're going to see some stuff here in a second.
what
Wait till
an
you see
interesting logo.
checking out logos.
Just fat F. And
Hey, throws a lot of touch, too. A lot
Yeah.
of touch, anticipation,
very
layers
well.
the football really, really well. Okay? A little bit of recruiting intel here for you guys. This one, it sounds to me, guys, that this is going to be our first one off the board. With these 3 names, it sounds like Ryan is the one closest and most ready to make a decision. Okay? It sounds to me like the decision is going to be between Georgia, South Carolina, and Florida. Now, here becomes the question. Okay? If this is going to be the first name to pop, all right, where on that kind of list would he ultimately rank? And your question, and the reason for asking that question is this right here, right? Are we going to take the commitment from Ryan Montgomery and potentially risk the idea that we might be able to sign another one of these quarterbacks that we're going to look at, right? Does taking the commitment from this kid early deter the other ones? Because I do believe if everything happened in a vacuum, if Ryan Montgomery were the only quarterback available in 2025, he'd end up at Georgia. I think that would be the case over South Carolina and over Florida. I don't know if he's going to be greenlit in the middle of, where are we at, February, okay, of this class and of this cycle. If he wants to be a Georgia commit, or if Georgia and him are going to be paired together, I think it's going to have to be more of in a competitive time window where the rest of these guys might be coming down the pike as well.
I think it's kind of a similar conversation that you could have had early on when Ryan Puglisi committed to Georgia. Of obviously, you would like to have it. Puglisi's talented, and he's a guy that you would obviously want in your quarterback room. But there's some other names in this class remaining that maybe, and it didn't end up hindering you, or at least it didn't until the very end.
Here's where I will push back on this. If Georgia thinks you're good enough, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They took the Puglisi commitment knowing, I don't care. If this pushes somebody else out or if this makes us less attractive, We don't care because we're taking that kid anyways. We think that kid is one of those ones, right? Which is why they took the commitment from Puglisi as early as they did in the cycle, because it wasn't about, if it does deter someone else, good. Like, that's the way they thought about that. I don't know if they feel that way about this one. You know what I mean? Which means he's probably not 1 or 2 on this board.
Yeah.
In fact, I have him 3. Okay, of the guys we're going to look at tonight, that's as bad as it gets. And by the way, I just told you, that's 2-year at least serviceable starter in this conference. That kid will play in this conference. He's going to play really well in this conference. All right, let's talk about the other 2. I want to watch this Zollers tape first. And guys, this Matt Zollers kid from Philly, violent. Violent, violent, violent. That's the only word that I could come up with. Every time I watched him do something, I'm like, God dang, bro, you are trying to kill people. You are trying to take people's soul out here playing the game of football. He has some absolute violence to his game. Showed a 60-yard chooch on the run that we're going to watch. All right, it's a howitzer on this kid as well. The deep ball has a ton of touch. I think it's important to note these things. When we watch deep balls on this network, we want the nose down. What do I mean by that? All right, we want that sucker coming downhill. We want the arc to go up steep. We want it to come down steep. And we want it to travel a goddamn 3/4 of a football field, all right, with the nose down. I don't care how far you can throw it on a line. I care how far we can throw it with touch and getting that nose to come back down. Violent, violent, violent. Let's watch this Zollers tape. All right, this kid's a baller. Not that the last kid wasn't. I'm going to go ahead. I like me some Matt Zollers tape. We're just going to let it run, and I'm going to let y'all holler at this one. Yeah. He got some juice about him, too.
Yeah.
He got some juice about him now.
How tall is he?
6'3.5". 6'3.5", about 205 on this guy. I love this one. Look at him rolling right, taking a shot. This is a jump throw, dude. This is an absolute jump throw. All right, he is rolling to his right. He has pressure in his face. Okay, that edge defender is hitting him right now. He jumps in the air and gets lit up off the hip and throws a perfect runner. All right, same thing here. Rolling up into the pocket, stepping through the smoke, on the run, 50-yard bomb, nose down. This ball is violent. This is what I'm talking about. God dang, he looked like he was trying to throw 150 mile an hour right there.
It looks like an outfielder trying to throw someone out at home.
You god dang right, and I love it. I love seeing a dude be this violent. Look at that ball. That ball traveled about 50 air yards. The one previous before that was about 62, okay, there from Zollers. All right, this is that nose down I'm talking about. Watch that ball come, pew. All right, when we see wide receivers doing this one, that's what we want. We want that nose down. Oh, make a little play. I love that we get a little combination of an athlete with a ripper, right? That's what we're getting right now, and we need that in the modern game of college football. I don't need you to be I don't need you to be Lamar Jackson, but I can't have you be Peyton Manning in the mid 2000s. I can't have you standing there.
What is
this one right here?
40 time?
Yeah, this one what?
What is 3's 40 time?
Oh, three's a guy.
Yeah.
Three is definitely a guy. But I think we both love this right here. People at the feet. Oh no, that's the next one.
Yeah.
People at the feet of his platform on the next one, and he finds a way to get his feet back out of the ground and get that ball back up. That right there.
I don't know what
is
cover
nuts.
2 safety's doing there, but
Yeah, I mean, a lot of split safety looks here for these guys. They've got to kind of this ball should be picked off in college. Didn't necessarily love that one, but this ball right here, dude. We see all these like, hey, look at him throw some touch, and then we see this speed out right here. Look at this ball. This ball's pissed on, son. All right, three's a guy.
yeah, I was going to say I'm equally as impressed.
Hey,
with
how about
3.
this one? Rolling back right, rolling to our right, flicking it across our chest to the left on this next clip. Check this out in the goal line situation. Watch this. Rolling right, catching number 1, going back the other way, throwing across his body. Okay, we don't like to do that on the next level. That ball is pissed on.
Wow.
My God, he threw that so hard. His whole body into this, man. Rolling back left. Look at him. He's going to pedal backwards, and then he just going, violent. Absolute violence in his game. Now, the next guy that we're going to watch, complete opposite. Okay, the next guy is smooth operator. You know what I mean? Next guy just looks like he walks to a different, on beat to everything. Just got great steez about him. That's a dot. Yeah, I like the Zollers kid a lot, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Does he throw over the middle a lot, any?
We'll have to see. I mean,
when you're that accurate and you have
Yeah.
a guy who can run that fast, you don't really need to. But
that ball's down the middle of the field, but I mean, he's throwing it 40 yards on the run
yeah,
and getting the legs involved here.
Oh.
I think the legs are serviceable. I wouldn't be out here. I wouldn't be out here designing a whole offense off the
Stetson
legs.
Bennedy?
Yeah.
Huh?
Stetson Bennedy?
Yeah. I mean, but at 6'3.5". You know what I mean? Like, that's a
that's-
different breed. That's a different sized human.
I'm just doing the comp of like,
Yeah, athleticism.
can get away from a sack, might not want to let him run it 12 times a game.
Yeah. Me like you.
Yeah.
Me like you.
Very
I
nice.
like that too.
Violent. I will always favor the kid that I know that can do more because it's just more to work with, right? And I think that discussion right there between Montgomery and Zollers is very obvious. One does a little bit more.
Plus, you can just kind of feel it on tape that when he goes out on the football field, like he's looking to kill folks. Like he's out there to take care of his business and do it in a very violent manner, and that's fun to watch. I mean, it's enjoyable, it's entertaining.
All right, this next guy. This next guy would be quarterback one on the board. I think him and Zollers are pretty, I'm not going to say evenly talented. I think they're both a take at the University of Georgia. I would take both of them. But you recruit the hell out of Julian Lewis because of who he is, where he is, and what he's been. Julian Lewis has been a name and a name to have and a name to need for 5 years now. It seems like 3 years now since I've been doing this, basically. Everybody's going, hey. Okay, the state of Georgia has the next one that everybody's going to be after. And guess what? He lived up to be it. Very rarely, I've talked about this the last time I spoke about Julian, very rarely do we have something billed to be this. And by God, he winds up being that and more. All right, and this is a testament to everything he does from a working standpoint. It's a testament to who he is from a personal standpoint and all that good stuff. Because when you're told the world is yours at 13, to actually be there to capitalize on the opportunities when you're 17 is nothing short of a miracle. Okay, it's nothing short of a miracle, especially the way this guy has developed. He plays with an extreme amount of feel, okay, and skill. I said both of those wrong. Feel and skill. I said feel and skill.
I think you forgot to mute your lav mic.
That's fine. He's got a tremendous amount of feel, okay, at the quarterback position. And despite the fact that this kid is younger than the rest, all right, and he is reclassed, he has played and talked and seen more high-level football than the other two. I wouldn't say combined, but definitely more than the other two. Okay, he is the most polished and most ready of all the three that we're going to watch tonight, and he would be my number one quarterback on the board because of all of the things that we just talked about and the fact that he's deadly accurate. He makes great decisions, and he's deadly accurate, and he is Julian Lewis. I wonder what happens.
I don't know.
Because I've done entire shows with both of them turned on, and nothing ever happens.
The hamster stops running.
That's the Zollers tape, right?
Yes.
This is the sophomore tape.
Yes.
All right. So here's the thing about Julian. Everything that Julian does is exactly how he's coached to do it. You tell this kid to do something, you coach him up to do it, he's going to do it. That right there, pretty invaluable skill set, in my opinion. All right, and what you're going to see is as you watch him, as he goes through these plays, hey, it's like, ooh, we're gonna avoid the conflict. We're going to get our feet back in the ground. We're going to rip the ball, 2 hands on the ball. All right, we're going to roll right. We're going to make sure our fundamentals are perfect as we do so. Everything this kid does is technically, fundamentally, mentally sound. Everything that he does. Oh, and by the way, plays for a guy by the name of Joey King, who's out here running, I don't even know what you would call this concept, but basically what he gets right here is, what do they fake, a speed out? Oh, no. They fake a hitch right here, and then they roll him on a wheel.
Wait, rewind that back?
It's number 2 running a hitch, and then he turns and spins out on a wheel.
Yeah, but where's number
predetermined.
Okay, I'm tripping.
Okay, so this guy, that's Caleb Odom. He runs the backline dig, which is a pretty common red zone concept. And then this guy runs a little 5-yard hitch and then spins out, and he's basically running now a wheel to the pylon. Look at this throw.
I saw 2 shadow and thought they were in trips for me. I was like, what the hell?
I mean, kind of in a bunch. It looked like one.
Yeah.
All right, here we
Camera
go.
angles.
All right, now we're going to rip one. That's from the 40 to the 5. So that's a 55-yard throw. Okay. Look at the pocket movement. Hey, the ball's great, Curb. But how about knowing?
Yeah, knowing where your pocket is.
How about knowing that our left tackle's getting spun like a top? Look at that. Okay, and then we're going to climb, and we're hitting this right back over here. That's pretty good stuff right there.
And having the wherewithal to not give up on the play and tuck and run immediately.
Correct.
I mean, he had grass, but
Same thing here, climbing through the pocket and then flicking back to his left. Now, what's up?
This is a bad comp because I feel like it means unathleticism, but it looks like Tom Brady. The way Tom Brady could navigate a pocket.
I'm a Joe Burrow comp here.
Okay.
And it's the only kid I've ever given it to. Because Burrow's comp's a whole lot about intangible stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole lot about stuff. Oh, he just plays the quarterback position the right way. He's got this level of coolness about him. I watched Julian against Westlake for the region, right? They're backed up inside their own 5. Okay, so they're hard counting, trying to get people to jump off sides. And Westlake's just talking all kind of shit.
Yeah.
All kind of shit. And we got it on the microphones where Julian's like looking, he does the hard count, he's looking to the sideline, getting a new play, and they're chirping him. And all he says was, yeah, y'all did good, but watch this. And then he gets back on the line, flips the run, okay, calls the run to the right side where they got the hats counted, all right, and they get out of their own end. And what I thought of was the Cam Newton clip where
You've been watching
you've
film,
been
huh?
watching film, huh? Watch this.
Yeah.
Like just cool, man. Just everything he does is very, very
The funniest
cool.
thing, irrelevant, but the funniest thing about that Cam Newton clip is the wheel route was still open.
Yeah.
Like,
Just even the footwork right here. Look at him click through his reads. Watch how his feet are tied to his eyes on this play action fake. Look at that. Into the back, flips his feet right back around, okay, gets him back into the ground solidly, and then rips that football. He just caught that snap one-handed, by the way. Okay?
you what?
Watch him. Zoom in on him. Okay, on this next snap. You don't have to zoom in, actually. You got it close enough right here. He caught that ball
Yeah, okay.
on the snap. Okay, just nice and smooth, and then throws a dart, okay, out there on the edge. A tremendous processor. Like, how important is that? I mean, ooh.
Oh.
Yeah, buddy. That is avoiding pressure to our face. That is, instead of, continuing to run past the point right there, getting back up inside, and then still throwing the corner route on time. That's nuts. That's what I mean. Oh, that's a quick flick. Ball. Oh, I love the ball placement there. Threw it up, right, where my tight end can go get it. Okay, we're on the sideline here.
That's reminiscent of
That's our boy JC right there.
that looks a lot like that George Pickens touchdown in the Peach Bowl.
That's a rip. Always on time.
Mm-hmm.
Always on time. Never playing outside. Never playing outside the system. Never has to. Yeah. Deadly accurate. I don't know what his completion rate is here. There you see the athleticism. That's against Langston Hughes. There's a bunch of dudes on that field right there. The accuracy, this is what I love about Julian. This is why I would invest everything I could into him. Everything about his game is a product of his work. Everything. All the decision-making processes are there because, well, he studies a shitload of football. He's deadly accurate, well, because he throws a ton of footballs, okay? He always has. That ball is thrown before the kid gets even out of the break, okay? I'm going to try to pause this when he lets this ball go, and you'll see just how far ahead of it he threw. Caught it one-handed again, by the way. All right, we're breaking our hands right now, okay? This corner route is, 4 yards from the 40? I think is when he breaks this out here at the tight end position. Yep, look at that. Ball's way out. It's been out. It's been out of his hands for a half a second, 2 seconds at this point. Boom. All right. Those are things that we can't teach kids to do. I can sit here. I can evaluate height, weight, speed. The ability to throw the football. All right. But what I can't evaluate every single time, unless I know for a fact, is the kid's processing ability. And that kid is processing football at like year 3 in college level right now because they care about it. They care about it. They care about it. They care about it. Now, Derek Dodd in the chat asked a relatively reasonable question. Has he grown at all? How big is he going to get, right? I think that's the only question about Julian. And I don't think it's necessarily a reasonable question because at this point in the game of football, like I'm not saying he's this because I think he's obviously bigger than this, but we just watched Bryce Young be the first overall draft pick in the NFL draft. Like, I think we're past the days of, is he big enough? No, is he good enough? And the answer is yes, he's damn sure good enough.
I mean, Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, Bryce Young, Baker Mayfield. Like, there's been a litany of
to
guys.
me, the threshold, I would get nervous under 6 foot, under 185 pounds. If we're under those two things, which Bryce Young is, I'm on the record. I had concerns about Bryce. I thought it was hilarious that everybody's like, this guy doesn't get hit. Bitch, what game you been watching? Bryce Young gets lit up, okay? Didn't see that one. Didn't understand it. Knew he was going to look very, very, very small. He's not this.
No.
Julian's 6 foot and a half. All right, he's 195 pounds already, and he's big enough. So
Yeah.
I'm good there.
He's not physically imposing, but he doesn't need to be.
Exactly.
You don't
That's
need
a
to be
great way to
physically
put it.
imposing anymore
No, you
at
don't.
the quarterback position.
Nope.
And, I mean, if you make all the right decisions and you make all the throws,
There's your physical imposition.
there you go.
Yeah.
Right? So we're good there. Oh, and by the way, and not that you have to do this, but I mean, they make the money doing it, not the guy on YouTube. Every great quarterback evaluator ever in the game of football right now wants this kid. I mean, all of them, from Kirby to Lincoln. All the great football minds right now are heavily, heavily invested in landing Julian Lewis. So there's that. And by the way, I think Georgia's got a really, really good chance of flipping him. So just putting that out there. But I would rank them and I would recruit them. Julian Lewis, 1. Let's go after him. Let's make sure we try to do everything we can to sign him or flip him. Then, hey, let's make sure we keep Matt Zollers in our sights. Let's make sure we got some good relationships built up there. And then, hey, Ryan, come December, if we strike out, we love you too, baby. Ain't nothing wrong with third. Ain't nothing wrong with bronze. You know what I mean?
Ain't nothing wrong with silver.
Ain't nothing wrong with silver.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you right. Dude, this James Cook theory.
Yeah.
This read to me like a guy who had no idea the landscape of college football this year.
And I think that was part of the problem with how this got transcribed. And, I was guilty of it because I was one who wrote an article about it. But if you watch the video, you can kind of get a feel of – I mean, it's one of those situations where the question –
supposed to say.
Yeah, exactly. The question is not included in the video, so I don't know exactly what the question was. But in a situation like that, assuming that the question is like, do you think Georgia got robbed of a national title this year? James Cook is not going to sit there and be like, "Oh no, man, they should have been in the playoff. Like they sucked this year. They should have been nowhere near the playoff. The committee got it right. He's going to go in there and defend his program." But the part that got everybody was him saying, "Oh, well, they knew Nick Saban was retiring."
Yeah,
so that's why.
I feel like they knew Nick Saban was retiring and tried to sneak him in one.
Yeah, that's the part that got everybody of like, okay, tinfoil hat, too much.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to like.
First of all, Ricky from Swanee definitely believes it's true.
For sure.
Yeah.
Johnny from South Georgia's like, damn, if Nick Saban hadn't been retired,
Oh,
we'd have won us another natty.
There was people on Twitter saying, "I was saying this back in January. They knew he was retiring. They knew it."
Yeah, everyone knew. It's just- I
The fix was in, John.
yeah. As much as I love to like ponder on college football conspiracies, I don't think this one has any basis
Yeah.
to it. Because I mean,
Not
look,
a lot of weight here.
as much as Alabama won the SEC championship. They were a one-loss conference champion. Had Alabama gotten in, you could have that after Georgia. If Georgia won and Alabama got in, absolutely have that argument. But the fact is that Alabama did everything that they needed to be in the playoff, and they deserved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can.
Fun
leave it at
off-season
that.
content, though.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff from James. Good little attempt there. I can't believe this, but there are. I shouldn't say I can't believe it because he played well for 3 years in the SEC, and he started over a lot of really uber talented kids, and he did so at the Z position, despite the fact that he's as big as he is, or rather small as he is, I should say. But Ladd McConkey's like receiving legitimate first-round hype right now.
Mm-hmm. Wait till the combine happens.
Yeah, I know, which is crazy because, I mean, people are going to lose their mind when this guy runs sub 4.4. They're going to be like, what? Fast white people exist?
And then goes to the vertical.
What?
Smashes
jumps
it.
over 40 inches, and then it's like, oh, by the way, my 5.10.5 was the fastest here at the combine as well. So he is going to absolutely blow people out of the water at the NFL combine. And he's already impressed at the Senior Bowl, and he's already, kind of mocked as a mid-second round draft pick prior to the Senior Bowl. And now there are people talking about him potentially being a first-round draft pick. And I just think this needs to be talked about from a how is this happening standpoint, because it's not normal. Okay, it's not normal at all. So how is Ladd McConkey going about defying these things, and how does the next Ladd McConkey happen, or will we see another one? Because, guys, he is being listed in a group and a discussion at the wide receiver position that, quite frankly, I'm not going to say he doesn't belong in, but he doesn't belong in. He doesn't look anything height, weight like the rest of them. Okay, he is currently ranked 8th on the top wide receivers list consensus that I could find. Everything I went through, like 4 or 5 of them today, and kind of averaged them together. He's 7th or 8th. And all 6 or 7 names in front of him go in some sort of order as this right here. Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze, Keon Coleman, Troy Franklin, Brian Thomas, A.D. Mitchell. Okay, all of those names are consistently ahead of him. Where Ladd kind of falls in this discussion is Xavier Leggett, Xavier Worthy, Tez Walker, that kind of discussion. Like, hey, wide receiver 7, wide receiver 8. All of these wide receivers that are ahead of him, except for Malik Neighbors, do you know what they all have in common?
Taller.
They're all huge as shit. Every single one of them. Marvin Harrison, 6'3". Malik Neighbors, 6 foot. The only one that doesn't really fit this bill. Rome Odunze, 6'3". Keon Coleman, 6'4". Troy Franklin, 6'5". Brian Thomas, 6'4". A.D. Mitchell, 6'4". None of these dudes look like the 5'11", 185-pound Ladd McConkey. Yet he is listed among these guys in this order. I don't know how this happens other than the fact that Ladd just must be the best route runner available in this class, which that alone blows my mind as someone who covered this kid, because he was a senior in high school and didn't know how to run routes, because how could he? He was playing quarterback. He was playing running back. He was playing wide receiver. He was playing safety. He's playing punt return. He's playing kickoff. Like, he didn't specialize in anything until he got to college, and now dude's going to be up in the discussions for first round. That's wild to me.
Do you want to go ahead and?
No, you got it.
I can kind of put a finger on how it happens, and it's the age of social media where, I mean, we all saw him going viral for what he did in the Senior Bowl. And if you're a Georgia fan, you watch Georgia football, you knew he was capable of that. But if you didn't pay attention, you just thought it was, just some white receiver. Then you go and you watch his highlight tapes on YouTube. It's like, oh my God, this guy's crazy. People are starting to do that now. And then when the combine comes around, he runs a sub 4.4. People are like, oh my God, this guy's a first-round pick. So, I mean, he's greatly benefiting from the fact that you have social medias and you have a bunch of people who have access to watch your highlights and tapes that you might not have before. Because before, and I don't understand why this happens, where you do this in college and it's, oh, yeah, he's got all these good players around him. He's going up against scrubs. But as soon as you do in the Senior Bowl, wait a minute, oh, he's an actual legit NFL talent.
I love that. And this is a complete sidebar. I love this comment. Came to the show late at the beginning. Brooks meat riding the NCAA like they paying his rent. We've come to the point now where if you don't come out here and say that the NCAA is just a bunch of blabbering fucking idiots and they don't know anything that they're talking about and they're the reason that college football is ruined, then you're meat riding the NCAA. When in reality, if you would open up your Twitter machine instead of just retweeting the guy who calls the NCAA an idiot, if you'd read the actual announcements, if you would read the actual statements, I don't have to meat ride the NCAA. The Big Ten and the SEC in their joint statement said that they are both drastically and heavily invested in the success of the NCAA. The two are supposed to coincide. But yeah, meat rider, this guy.
Put that on a shirt. 2% meat rider.
I'm good. I'm good on all that. But anyways, back to this discussion. Well, go ahead.
I can tell you how it happens of how he's going to end up. If he does end up being a first-round pick, it's going to happen this way. It's the fact that Marvin Harrison is getting projected into a top 3 draft pick, and we've seen what happens when one wide receiver goes. Like when the Falcons took Drake London in the top 10, 4 wide receivers immediately went off the board right after him.
Yeah.
So if you're starting at maybe the number 2 overall pick, Marvin Harrison comes off the board, well, immediately that's going to start a chain of events of anybody that is in the market for a wide receiver. You're going to start going down the list. So then when it gets to pick number 32nd, and they want to get, and they're thinking about getting a wide receiver, well, it very well could be Ladd McConkey sitting at the top of the list.
So I went down the history of the draft as of recently. There was 4 first-round wide receivers in 23, 6 in 2022, 5 in 2021. The determining factor is the run, like you're talking about. If you look at the last couple of years, it's not just been, a wide receiver at 9, a wide receiver at 12, a wide receiver at 17. It's not that. It's 3 wide receivers in a row.
Yep.
Because teams start trading up. They start getting nervous. Oh, shit, my guy's about to go. Oh, there went my guy. I better not lose 2.
Yep.
And then they all start pushing up because of this run on wide receivers. So whether or not Ladd's a first-round draft pick, to me, kind of boils down to 2 discussions. A, where do you rank him in this? And I would put him – I would say you are okay to draft Ladd McConkey over anybody but these 4 names. Marvin Harrison Jr., Rome Odunze, Malik Neighbors, Keon Coleman. If you draft Ladd over those 4 names, I think you are putting yourself at risk for one of those dudes becoming an all-pro and Ladd just being good, and then those are misses we get fired over, right?
Yeah.
If we draft Keon Coleman and he sucks, we'll draft another one. If we draft Ladd McConkey over Keon Coleman and Keon Coleman becomes a Pro Bowler, we're fired. And that's how this contract works. That's how this business works. So I would be afraid of drafting Ladd over any of those high ceiling guys. However, Ladd versus Troy Franklin, okay.
Yeah.
Come on, Ladd versus Brian Thomas, okay. Like, Brian Thomas had a great year at LSU. He is physically impressive, but it's just the 1 year. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can do this over and over again with all these guys, except for that top 4.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's going to probably eventually hurt Ladd's draft stock is injury history. Yeah. I mean, I feel like for the last 2 seasons, it was either, hey, Ladd can't go today, he's got this injury, he's got this nagging injury, or he's gonna battle through. I mean, you saw in the Peach Bowl, he wasn't 100%. You saw in last year's SEC championship, he was battling through injuries. I think that's gonna scare a lot of teams because the NFL is a more physical league, and you play 17 games without playoffs. So I think that might end up being why he isn't a first-round pick.
So I saw this chart on Twitter. It's like one of those 4-quadrant charts where you get everybody's names. If you're in the top right, then you're of the elite. If you're in the bottom left, then you're not doing too hot. And it was like of the last 10 years, every single wide receiver taken in the first 3 rounds. And it was the bottom row was yards per catch, and then the left side was first downs responsible for per catch. Ladd McConkey was on the same plane as Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. And he was the farthest right name in this year's draft class.
That's insane. I mean, I'm not saying his skill set isn't there.
Yeah.
At all. Like, he's fully capable of being an NFL receiver, but I think teams are going to look at him and go, size scares me, and then, he hasn't played a full season in his college career.
Dude, it's a height, weight, speed league.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, we've seen that year over year over year over year. It's a height, weight, speed league, and he will knock off every speed requirement that there is, but he will still be 5'11", 187 pounds when he goes to the NFL Combine, and that will knock him. But it doesn't mean he's not one of the best 5 receivers in this conference or in this league or in this draft, and that definitely leaves it available for him to be a first-round draft pick, and that, to me, is nuts.
It is.
Who would have thought that?
No, not me. Never once in my life. I question whether or not he should have been going to Georgia.
Not even the fact that Ladd McConkey would be a first-round pick. Ladd McConkey would be the first Georgia wide receiver to go in the first round since A.J. Green.
That's nuts.
When you've had George Pickens, you've had other really, really talented receivers play on that team. That's insane to me.
Hell yeah.
The fact that Ladd McConkey breaks that streak.
Shouts out.
If he does.
Again, still got the video. Still can't believe that's who.
Yeah.
Dude turned into the best route runner available. What? That guy. It's just a testament to how A, wrong I can be, but B, how sometimes it is just about all you need is he is 1% gifted in the speed and acceleration department. And then he's also 1% gifted, obviously, in the workout department. He wants to work. He clearly earned his way into these discussions, and that is to be a little hat tip. Also, hat tip, based off the mock drafts that I've been seeing lately, Javon Bullard basically football played his way into a top 64 eval.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and that's nuts. That because again, height, weight, speed league.
Mm-hmm.
Like we are just recently removed from Kyle Hamilton being labeled the best new freshman or rookie safety that there is in the league, right? Last 2 years. That son-of-a-bitch is 6'4". All right, he was a top 10 pick because he's 6'4", and he did all of those things. But the fact that a 5'10" and 3/4", I think is what Javon measured in at the Senior Bowl.
That sounds right.
5'10" and 3/4", 186 pounds. That kid's a top 64 eval. Dude, that is football players, and I'm talking about football players, not guys who play football. I'm talking about dudes who eat, sleep, and breathe and die this shit. that is hope for all of you men out there right there, that this kid can just football play his way into a top 64 eval. Good on you, Javon Bullard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on the recent mock drafts that have come out lately?
Brock Bowers just slipped and all. That's kind of surprising. And it's weird, but it's also like,
I think it's a little recency bias a little bit.
I think we need to prepare our audience for him not being a top 12, top 15 pick.
Probably.
Which is fine. I mean, God forbid you get drafted 20th overall.
God forbid he go to a team that's actually succeeding and he does well and wins football games.
Yeah, that would be nuts. What you giggling about that?
yeah.
The idea, oh man, it sucks being drafted by good football teams.
Goes to a team with a quarterback. That'd suck.
That would be less than ideal. Hey, we had a great show tonight. We climbed and climbed and climbed. We only got up to about 260 people. But, hey, make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button. I want to see at least 260 likes on this video as it ends. I appreciate you. I love you. And I'll see you tomorrow for our last show of the week. Oh, that's right. I'm going on vacation.
What? We get vacation time, dude?
Fucking meat, right?